I'm Dickens, 2024, defensive line, Strasburg, Colorado, and Strasburg High School. I'm committed to Shattering State, and you've been listening to Playmakers Corner.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. And today we have a very special guest hailing from the Eastern Plains of Colorado. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm Al Dickens, 2024 D-line from Strasburg, Colorado. Happy to be here.
Oh, it's really nice to have you on. And I mean, so a lot of the guys that I've talked to have been from the I-25 corridor, Western Slope, but being from the Eastern Plains, you have a bit of a different perspective on some things. So right off the bat, to get to know a little bit more about you and your perspective on things, what's been your favorite sport viewing experience as a fan?
Man, it would probably have to be when the Saints won their Super Bowl, because being a Saints fan, it was really special. But honestly, just in recent watching the Lions go on that run this year was pretty sick. Like, real underdog story. Just the whole city showed up for them. Electric environment, and unfortunately they couldn't get it all the way to the bowl, but they had a hell of a year.
I mean, Heart and Hustle, America's team, right?
Absolutely.
Though that does have me wondering, how did you become a Saints fan all the way out? I mean, out west in general.
Man, when I was a kid, like I just thought it'd be like kind of cool to root for different teams than my dad, because like he's always been like just Denver sports like through and through, except for college. He likes Michigan, but I went in a completely different direction. I have like my sports teams are from all around. Like I was just a Saints fan, like because I was like probably like 6 or 7 when I picked it out, so a lot of it I was like, oh dude, their jerseys are sick or something like that. So that's how I was like, I'm a Saints fan and a Timberwolves fan, and Iowa Hawkeyes fan, like all kinds of just out off the wall kind of stuff, just random.
I understand what you're talking about, because like if I'm being honest, I'm still pretty new to sports. I only got into it my sophomore year of high school, and so when I was selecting a baseball team, I was going through and I was like, the Rockies, like they have been good, but not. So I'm a Giants fan.
Okay.
Which nobody sees coming. Although I will say, you remember when they went on that crazy run? I want to say like 2021.
Yeah.
Nobody believed me when I called that.
It's because you'll call it every year when it's your team. It's like, no, we're gonna be cold this year, and then they go like 6-7 or something football wise, or then they'll just be like terrible, and then like you keep saying it, and eventually it'll be right, you know.
It's the Cowboys curse.
Oh man, I hope they keep that curse. They are not America's team. The Cowboys, no.
Haven't been in 30 years.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But if you ask any of their fans, they'll still think they are for damn sure.
Oh yeah, and I mean, looking around. So you said you're an Iowa fan?
Yeah, Hawkeyes.
All right, and I mean, we've seen some very, very good linemen go through Iowa. We've seen some good linemen with the Saints as well. Who do you model your game after?
Oh man, I love watching film. Like I probably like watch like 8+ hours of film a week, just not even just regular film, but just like, oh, I'm gonna flip on this game. Like if there's sports on, I'll always watch it, and if there's not, then I have like NFL Plus and like a lot of those little streaming services, so I could go back and watch like old games and stuff. I've modeled my game a lot after, probably give you like a top 4 guys. Probably growing up, I always loved watching Cam Jordan, absolutely one of the greats for the Saints. But then other than that, like AJ Epinesa from Iowa, when he was in college, he was absolutely amazing. Davion Nix, interior D line, he's from Iowa. He's on the Panthers like practice squad now. He was like a conference defensive player of the year one year. He's amazing. Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals. They're just so like I think of myself a lot of a lot of I try my best to be a hybrid, but a lot of the time I find myself most involved in like the run game. So Sam Hubbard being like a run stuff D end, it's pretty cool. I like watch a lot of his tape, and yeah, those would probably be like the main guys.
I mean, all the guys that you named are guys who they do what they have to do to win the game at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like they are going to do all the dirty work, and that's something to really admire because a lot of football fans focus on the quarterbacks and the receivers, and I mean in the modern time the tight ends, but
Man, they still don't get enough appreciation. One of the most disrespected positions in football, man.
the tight end.
Yeah, no, they don't. They're like, if you look at like the NFL, aside from running backs, they're like the most underpaid, and they're like the unglorified receivers because they got to get in the trenches. Like I truly believe from playing offensive and defensive line my whole life, I absolutely believe that all games are won in the trenches, and being a skill position and having to go to get down into the box and get messy with all the guys who are 100 pounds heavier than you and stuff. Tight ends just they don't get enough credit.
I mean, but thankfully, okay, so I go to CSU, right? So
Yeah.
with Trey McBride,
Yep,
he,
Trey McBride.
he's signaling the return to that more gritty mentality, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Because I think his senior year in college, there was a stat where he played 81% of his snaps. He had his hand in the dirt, and he still had 1,000-yard season.
No, that man, I loved watching him. I've never been a big CSU fan, but I loved watching him ball out because he's just like the prototypical tight end that you want. Like he reminded me like in college, he reminded me a lot of George Kittle because he's willing to do like the blocking and he's willing to do a lot of the receiving. But then he was just on par with him. Honestly, he was better than George Kittle was in college, but maybe he'll get there in the NFL. Who knows?
Fingers crossed. People are saying he should have been Pro Bowl this year.
Oh yeah,
So
oh yeah. Over Evan Ingram, no question. I can't believe he got it over him. Or
yeah,
no, that's an FC. I forgot he wasn't on the. No wait, no, it isn't. Oh, but the Cardinals are. Yeah.
yeah. The only bad thing about it is that I had Zach Ertz on my fantasy team.
Oh man, he was injured off rip, right? He got injured pretty quick into the season.
Yeah, and then I was rotating through like Jonnu Smith and like five
Yeah,
other guys.
man, our fantasy league was competitive this year. Mine ended up going like a little bit rough. Like I was the fifth seed in both of our leagues, so I was just out of the playoffs in both of them. But it was just like the worst luck that you could get. Like I drafted Calvin Ridley as my wide receiver too, and he was horrible. And I the one that killed me was when I traded for Nick Chubb, and then the next week he tore his ACL. And luckily I was able to like flip a couple guys, get like Josh Jacobs and stuff, and he ended up making a huge comeback. But my tight end was like it was rough because a couple weeks Travis was injured to start the year, and he was my first round pick, and
Ooh,
I ended up using I had like a sleeper pick in Chiga Conquo from the Titans, and he ended up not living up to expectations, or at least my expectations. But
yeah, yeah. Goodness. Uh, sorry, we got way off track there, but
yeah, no worries.
no, that was my bad. But oh goodness, and he talks there about how some of the most underrated players you played against have gone in at tight end, and I mean you've been grinding your whole life. Who are some of the most underrated players that you had an opportunity to go against
Oh,
during your time?
to go against, I definitely think. Oh man, I'd say my my junior year when we played against Wiggins, we that was the funnest game I've ever played in. Double overtime, 3 rain delays. We got out at like 1 a.m. But they had a ton of studs there. Another like they had Pepper Rusher, who I'm about to go be teammates with up at Shattern State. They had Lath, he's wrestling for School of Mines. He was an amazing lineman. But then like they had Cole Kerr and Julio Flores in the backfield at quarterback and running back, and like all those guys were just like some super underrated ballers. They like, especially Julio Flores, because they had Cole Kerr. He didn't get enough of like the expectations or like respect, but he had like 1,000 yards on the ground his senior year and stuff. He was tough to bring down, man. And then other than that, like a lot of the guys that we've played against from Lyman, like they've gotten some like good looks and stuff. Except Keon Bandy, that kid, he's a baller, man. And like I don't know, like I feel like Trayton gets a lot of his respect, and like Rockwell does, especially for basketball and stuff. And then Botcher has all his offers and stuff. But I think Keon's gonna go play baseball. But he was, in my opinion, probably their best player. Like he just does all the work. Like you have to be a special type of player to be a fullback in 2023, 2024. And
Yeah.
the fact that he'd do that, be a middle linebacker, man, he's I played against him since middle school, and he's a baller, man.
A two-part response to that. I guess three-part. I had no clue where Pepper Rusher ended up, so it's good to know he found a spot at Shadron. Julio Flores was so goddamn fun to watch.
Yeah.
I saw them Mercy Rule Platte Valley last year, and I was just like, this guy's an MVP candidate. Like he's
Yeah. No, absolutely.
and I have no clue what he's doing now. Like,
Oh, yeah, no. I didn't hear anything about him. I don't think he even got the offers.
which is insane to look like. It's not like he was a 5'7", 150 running, but no, he was like
6'2", 200. Like that dude was a load, man. He was not easy to bring down.
yeah. Whew, yeah, miss watching him. But
Yeah,
then
he was fun to play against.
yeah, but then when it comes to Lyman, if you're listening, Jordan, no offense, but I'm really surprised that Keon Bandy did not win the championship MVP this year. Like, what was your reaction when? I mean, obviously you're more at that time you're more focused on like with your team and whatnot, but when you heard about like who won the MVP, what did you think?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even hear who won the MVP. I
Oh,
was trying to kind of like block all that kind of stuff out, but like I remember just there was this one play, Cade Hemphill, he batted the ball up, and like I was like, oh nice, we finally got to stop here. We like had scored the drive before. We were already out of that game, but we had been like gaining a little bit of momentum. And then
yeah,
Keon made this like crazy catch and like it was, I think they got it down to the one, like they didn't count him in for the touchdown, or maybe they did. I don't fully remember, but he just made a catch that I thought was like absolutely not gonna happen. Just crazy catch, and I was shocked. And I literally stood there. I was talking to Logan Botcher. I was like, dude, what the like? I don't say what I said, but he was like, yeah, no, he's going crazy. And I was like, dude, and then I remember like he was coming to, or Cam Manahan was running a slant, and then he just like it was probably the hardest high school football hit I've ever seen with my two eyes. Like he got absolutely leveled, and we're all pissed. We all think it's like targeting. We're like, I'll get him out of the game.
oh, I
We
remember
watched it
that.
back. It was the cleanest hit I've ever seen, and it was just oh my god, it like he just leveled him. Like it, and like no disrespect to my man Cam, obviously, like he had a hell of a year, but like that is a hell of a guy to have hitting you like that, man.
Yeah, but when you get leveled, you get yeah, yeah, that
No,
he was
he
tough.
had a game. He had a game.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at it, you played in a lot of really good games as your career went on. As he said, Wiggins, facing Lyman your fair share of times. I I don't know why I almost said Platte Canyon. No offense to Platte Canyon. I thought that game
I
was
won't
going to be
lie though. I
closer.
love the Platte Canyon game. Like, did you ever hear about what happened with that game?
So there was one guy that kept commenting in our TikToks when we posted the championship highlights. That was like, man, it was super disrespectful. I played for Platte, but I was like, I have no clue what's going on here. So I would actually really like to know.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I remember because a lot of us were thinking about responding to him because he was like, yeah, they were really they're really dirty players. And I remember exactly which kid that was because he was talking about my friend Ian. He was talking about our other D and Ian Ross. He like pushed up on him when he was getting up off of a tackle, like, and like he didn't really mean to, but then it was the snowiest game I've ever played, and they had to plow the field off like 5 minutes before we played. Like it was worst conditions you could imagine. I had a really good game. It was probably one of my best. It was probably either my best or one of my best games of my high school career. I was on one that game, and then I like look over, and Ian's like getting into it with one of their like running backs after he made a tackle, because when he got back up, I guess he like slipped and fell on the dude's like fell on the dude a little bit funny or something, and like they started getting into it. But like I don't know why they thought we were dirty. I was pretty cool with all their guys, but
Yeah, and they had some really good players, like that Twaddell kid.
yeah. And
Their
there, I
linebacker.
remember last year, I don't remember his name, but that number 42, their running back, I remember he didn't have as good of a game this year when we played him, because like we kind of just bottled him up pretty much. But like last year, I wouldn't say he had a good game either, but that kid just had heart, man. Like he was like he got hurt and he just kept coming back in, and we all gained a lot of respect for him because he was like pretty much the only guy on their team doing anything. And then this year, honestly, when we were going into that game, we like they were 8-0. We thought they were pretty overhyped. We had two losses, but we like looked at who those two losses were to, and they were great teams. They hadn't beat like a really good team, and we just kind of like walked into that game with a lot of confidence. And right before playoffs, we kind of just like we wanted, which seed did we want? We wanted the 6th seed, which I think we ended up getting really bad, and we were just like, dude, we have to go beat this really good team by a lot to show everybody like, dude, like this is not like some regular team, because like they weren't like they weren't a bad team, like they were a playoff team, but like they weren't as good as like they thought they were, or a lot of people thought they were, and I'm really glad that we showed everybody that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, going up to the playoffs, I was in charge of looking at the 1A playoff picture,
Yeah,
and for a while it was looking like Burlington was going to make it again,
yeah,
which I've coined the term the Burlington effect for teams that go 1-8 and still make the playoffs.
yeah.
Because
They played really hard schedules though, to give them credit. Like I respect a team like Burlington more than a team like Platte Canyon, because they'll keep it more competitive. In you play two-way games, then you play us, you play the top teams, and like they're in a tough conference, so it's like I respect them more than somebody like I said, Platte Valley, or not Platte Valley, but Platte Canyon, because like they will schedule a tough team, and like honestly, it like, and I could say this just because I've played both of them. Burlington was a way tougher team than the best version of Platte Canyon, because like I think when you play that many good teams, and you, especially if you work your ass off and play them close, you're going to be a lot more playoff ready when it comes to the end of the season than sometimes like I kind of hate our schedule because our league sucks. Like we never play good teams in our league. Like the best team that we've played in my league in my time playing was Platte Canyon this year, and we like 40 pieced them. And I don't know, like I've never lost a league game, and honestly, I don't think in my high school career we've probably been scored on in league games probably like 3 times. I wish we had a schedule like Burlington's, because like me and Landon were talking about it the other day about how like we don't like playing against like all the weak little teams. We like the Lyman games. We like the Wiggins games. Like the Wiggins game this year was so grinded out, and last year it's just like those are so much more fun wins. Like then you blow them out by 40 and you're not playing the fourth quarter. Like I don't mind not playing the fourth quarter. Like get the young guys in, but it's like when in a competitive game, should you ever have to pull all your starters and they still can't score?
yeah, yeah, and I mean, not that those other teams don't have good, because like Ben Pereira and Bobby Hester, like, and I forget the kid's name, but there was a kid from Middle Park that got like 6 picks this year. But
Yeah,
yeah, when you're looking at Strasburg in that league, I don't know, it's tough.
yeah.
And I mean, I
I
feel
won't
like,
lie though.
oh
I can't diss on Middle Park though, because I unfortunately I missed that game with an injury this year. so I didn't play against them, so I can't really say how good or bad they were. They're the only ones that I can't really attest to. I remember last year that was one of my favorite games because it was like a 4-hour bus ride, but the whole ride back after we just like beat them pretty bad was so fun. And they have like you ever heard of like the Killdozer?
Oh yeah. The
Yeah,
whole
so that happened up near Middle Park. So we were talking about it like I remember my friend Thomas, he was our like lead back and stuff. And I remember like last year when we were playing him on the road, he was like we were at like the 1 yard line, and like we were all knew we were gonna give it to Thomas. And like we were just like he was like talking to the middle linebacker, and he was like, I'm about to turn into the Killdozer on your ass. Funny. Because it did happen. He just trucked that kid. He met him in the gap and then met him in the end zone too.
oh no. That
No, that Middle Park, like they don't ever give us good games, but they're always fun games. I wish I got to play Middle Park this year because I enjoyed that game a lot last year. I had like 2.5 sacks.
damn. That
Yeah, no, it was a fun game. Except that the thing that sucks about Middle Park is like at least last year they passed so much that like it was like you're either getting a sack or as a defensive lineman, like the only tackles you're gonna make all game are pretty much sacks because of the fact that like they aren't running the ball at all.
yeah, the opposite of Bennett.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. They're as our rivals. I like. I don't like as much when people call Bennett our rivals. I like to try to think that Lyman's our rivals because, like, but then again, you also can't call it a rivalry if you don't win anything. We haven't beat Lyman in my time in high school, unfortunately. But Bennett Bennett never even touches us, man. And I don't know. They need to do something over there because that wing T offense stopped working for them in like 2011.
Yeah, like I think okay, so I actually go to I have class and one of the new he's gonna be hopping on the pod next year. He was a tight end for Bennett back in I think he graduated in like 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've heard a couple of impassioned rants about well not rants, but impassioned speeches about the wing tee that Bennett runs, and yeah,
Yeah. They
it
run
needs to
4 plays
change.
out of it, and we know every single one of them.
God, that is not
And the
surprising.
players know it too. Like a lot of the times, because they'll shift a guy, and then you know exactly what they're gonna do. They're gonna try to run trap and bring their fullback up into the hole. And then you just wrong arm the fullback, and you have a tackle for loss. I had like damn near 6 that game, and I was telling Tristan Kronk, their running back, I was like, dude, you guys should just start calling your own plays because your coaches have been selling you.
No comments on that.
Oh no, like I'd never recommend somebody actually does that, but I was like, man, I know where you're going as soon as you do that motion. And we've been
Everybody
telling them
on the
that
field does.
because like we obviously don't like the Bennett guys; those are our rivals. But at the same time, like we know them and we see them enough to where it's like, dude, you like everybody knows what you're doing, and like they know it, we know it, and like honestly, I think it'd be so exhausting playing over there because just like obviously you're not a good player if you're not coachable, and if you're gonna start trying to like argue with the coaches about the play calls, like it would just kind of suck just running the same stuff over and over, and the other guys know what's coming at you, and you're just getting clobbered. You know,
Yeah, then it
I
becomes
feel for him. I feel for him.
yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about some of the more fun memories. Is there one that sticks out as like your favorite, like in like your favorite playing experience? Because there are a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
From
Oh man, there is a ton to choose from. Let's say, I think this year when we played Ray after the loss last year, it just sucked so much. Like that, like I had that game. Like I was hoping so bad that Ray beat. I think they were playing Holyoke, right?
yeah,
I was like I was fine getting our like kind of our lick back on either of those teams because Holyoke beat us really bad in our first game of the year. But then like but the team I wanted to win was Ray because I just can't stand Ray after they beat us, and like I was so happy to get that chance to beat them. And I think my favorite moment would either be I had a sack on fourth down when they went for it. It was like 4th and 5, but it was it was on like our 30, so it kind of made sense for them to go for it. And I got this sack, and like I ran to the sidelines and I was so happy, and like the whole crowd like erupted and stuff. Or when we went to overtime and we scored, we kicked the extra point, and then they scored, and then we stopped them on their 2-point conversion, and like everybody like erupted, like we stormed the field and stuff. Like it was so much fun, and it was just super electric because it was just a really cool moment. Like it's something that like it's like a college atmosphere almost.
Yeah, I remember my my junior year. So I went to Manitou,
Okay.
and my junior year during the spring season, we made it to state against Flatirons Academy. And it was a very similar situation where we made it to I think it went to triple overtime. And we ended up stopping their quarterback Doob on the 1 yard line on the 2-point conversion. And the entire, like, I want to say there were like 600, 700 people that just stormed the field. It was magical.
Yeah. No, like that's like the stuff that I think about it, and I'm like, I might not remember this, but this is something that I will like never forget when I'm like 40. Like this is something I'll tell my kids about one day.
Yeah, you won't remember the specifics, but you'll remember how it made you feel.
Yeah, because like that's something. Even thinking about it like now, like even knowing how our season ended, it was just so like it was so amazing to even make it to that point because like what we went through and how grinded out like those playoff games were and stuff, or not even just the Ray game, and then obviously the Lyman game wasn't great, but that Ray game, it's just like such a fond memory just because of just how much that meant to us, every single one of us who started last year, and obviously even the people who didn't start. We wanted that so bad because like I've never been more mad than I was after we lost to Ray last year. We had a great team, and like we were poised to make a lot of noise last year, and we just came up short in that game, and it was amazing to be able to get the chance to get back at them.
Yeah, that's the type of thing that not a lot of guys get to say, is that they were able to get that revenge.
Yeah.
But curving it a little bit, what is your favorite matchup as an individual? So we talked a little bit about like underrated guys that you went against, but
Yeah.
head to head, who is your favorite dude to play against?
Man, I only played. I'll give a couple answers because there was a couple dudes that I played 3 years, a couple dudes that I just played for one. Last year in our semifinals game, I loved playing against Tell because he's gonna go play he's at Wyoming right now playing Division I football, and being able to on the biggest stage compete with a guy like that. I held him to. He had one tackle on the game, and it was when we flipped field sides, so he was on the other guy, our other tackle. And so I pitched a shutout against him that game. And then when he was blocking me, I had like 2 tackle for losses and like 11 tackles. Like I was super happy with how I performed in that matchup. And obviously, like the dude's a D1, like not just a D1 player, but he's a D1 talent. Like he gets off the ball so quick, and like a guy that big and that like he should just not move the way that he does, and he's so like agile with it that like he was just a super fun guy to go against. Probably the dude who gave me the most work in high school was Pepper, though. Like when I was blocking Pepper, he was he was the worst to block, like because he was so quick and super strong, and he definitely probably gave me my worst like blocking performance in high school. That one was rough. And then but out of guys that I played multiple times, I think my favorite matchups is definitely playing against probably Trayton because I played against him since middle school. and that's just like a really special thing to. That's a really good thing to be able to do because of the fact that like I've played him all the way since middle school, and we've had a lot of good matchups because we've played him in the regular season in high school, we played him in middle school, we've played him in the state championship, and he's probably my favorite individual person to play against because I think out of 1A he's the most talented guy that that I've got to play against, honestly. So getting able to seek out that matchup and like battle it out is always a pretty fun and special thing to do, in my opinion.
Heck yeah. And I mean, Trayton, I think he was ranked as our third best edge rusher in Colorado this year. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
And again, this is one of those situations where if he was in any other state.
Oh yeah. Because he's not a small dude. Like as a defensive lineman, he's clearly like he's not some heavy dude, but he's like 6'3" and strong as hell. He has the frame to be a Division I defensive end. Like one redshirt year, put on a little bit of weight. He has that motor, man. Like he gets up to 245, he'd be a problem at any level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got the build, he's got the strength, just needs the weight.
I don't even think the weight's too much of an issue. Like if he moves the way that he does and he's still that strong, because in my opinion, the only reason that you need the weight is to be able to stand your ground. And I've seen him throw around some dudes that are not smaller than him. Like
yeah.
he's a big strong dude, and like he's a tough guy to play against. But like I said, I love doing it.
Yeah. And this actually kind of brings me into the next bit, because Trayton, I mean, in terms of showing off his talent, he went against that like 6'9" guy from Colorado Springs Christian, Braden Skinner from Banning Lewis, yourself, Pepper, Tell. And you've played against some really high level talent. Like looking at Holyoke, I mean, Wiggins in particular, they've got Linton, Americo, Lyman, obviously Trayton, Bobby Hester from Clear Creek, which, I mean, I know he's not like a college guy, but he still gives you some problems.
Yeah, and no, then, he was not. He was probably their best guy for sure on the line.
Yeah. And then looking at North Fork and Gunnison, you've got a fair share of guys there too.
Oh, they had some big bodies. Oh my God, their fullback was huge.
Yeah, but who's someone that you wish that you had been able to play against? Like they just never ended up on the schedule, but you were like, but every year before it gets released, you're like, I want to sharpen my iron against his.
You know what? I could think of probably a few, but the one that I'll point out, because I was waiting for the interior defensive line list to drop. The last time we played Banning Lewis is when I was a freshman, or I think when I was a sophomore, one of the two. But I was like rotating it on varsity, but I wasn't playing that much. And if I got the chance to play against Skinner, I wish I did, because I truly believe that I was a top 5 defensive, like interior defensive lineman or defensive lineman in general this year. And he was somebody that I'd love to play against, because he's a good player in himself. I think doesn't he have an offer from like CSU?
CSUP, I think.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to find out for sure on Wednesday, because that's when signing day is.
Yep. But he's somebody that I wish I got to play against, because I think me and that dude are on a very similar level, and be able to go and show, hey, I'm better than you, and I know that you think you're better than me, because at the top, when you're going against the highest level of talent, everybody is gonna have that confidence of thinking like, I'm the best guy here, and I wanna prove that to you on this rep and every rep. And that's some dude that I wish I got to go against, as well as probably this year. I don't think we didn't get the chance to play against, not Gunnison, but that Meeker. Meeker had some big bodies. I don't know any of their guys' names, but I know that they had a huge line. Like their line, like their average was like 6'2", like 240 or something, from what I heard. Like they're a big unit. So that would have been a fun one to go against, just to be able to show like this is kind of what you like. Because a lot of the time you'll get like some dudes, like you look at the dude who's lined up across from you, and there's no world where he should be playing offensive line. But a lot of this action in the 1A schools is just they have not a lot of guys, so they got to put out what they got. Like some 5'8", 180 kid shouldn't really be playing offensive line, you know.
Yeah.
But getting to play against what I think is like a big, like competitive line, that would be fun to be able to show off your skills at like a higher level, in my opinion.
Yeah. The
And
name
that's what
that
it's like playing against linemen. Like
oh yeah.
aside from one of their guys, they had a bunch of big bodies because they had Trayton, who's a big dude, Mason Jacques, who's pretty big, Keegan, he's a like a sophomore, but that dude's a load. He's a big kid. And then unfortunately, Aaron got injured. He was their center guard, and he tore his ACL when he played against us. But he's actually one of my buddies from out in Lyman. But they have a big line. They're probably the next biggest next to Meeker. They're definitely better than Meeker's line, but size wise, they were fun to play against too, because it gives you a look of kind of what it will be like playing more in college and stuff, to where you're not just gonna be tossed around that guy who's 175 like right in front of you, and you get to be that iron sharpens iron and going up against another guy who's gonna go play at a Division II, Division I level. So that's pretty fun, just being able to play against dudes who are gonna make you better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, thankfully they put some guys in your out of conference that were like that do make you better. So
Yep. No, and honestly, as much as it kind of sucked to start out 1 and 2, I was glad at least that we were gonna play those like competitive games versus the Hollyoaks, who beat us pretty bad, the Lymans, who beat us pretty bad, and then like Wiggins, who was a grinded out game. Like playing those games makes us so much better for when we come around to the playoffs. And then it's not good to have that experience against Jefferson and Middle Park and like all these schools that like no offense to their players and or their coaches, they're just not on that level. But yeah, like you said, iron sharpens iron and stuff. So just going up against another school that's like, they pump out some good talent and stuff like that. Scheduling those out of school games, or I'm sorry, out of conference games with competitive teams is really important, just because it helps you get ready for those playoff games where, if you play a weak schedule, you're going to be unprepared when you play a good team. Like I think that's like, I don't want to keep bringing them up. They're just like the golden example of it, is that Platte Canyon. Like they had like a horrible schedule, like easily the easiest schedule in 1A, and they ran through that schedule. Then what happens when they play against us in Holyoke? They go 0-2 because they're playing against like high level teams. Maybe if you give a team like that some out of conference games, that like the ones that we had, you try to schedule a Wiggins, you try to schedule Meeker, you try to North Fork,
even like
Gunnison.
a Highland.
Like yeah, even no, exactly. Like maybe they're not a top 10 team in the 1A, but they're way better than, I don't even remember who they scheduled. Like
Center.
yep, yeah.
Sheridan and the Pinnacle were in that.
The Pinnacle's awful. I remember we played them sophomore year. They're horrible.
Yeah, that they got a freshman that rushed for like 700 yards though, so they may be heading in a good direction. But
That'd be good for them, because like I remember playing against those guys, and like I think it was one of their first years of being a program, because if I'm correct, Pinnacle's a newer school. But yeah, I think it was one of their like newer years of being a school, and we smacked them. I think like at that point it was definitely the biggest win that we'd had in my time in high school. I was either a freshman or sophomore. It was like 64-0 or something, and it'd be nice to see a school like that like go a little bit in the right direction. I'm never rooting for a team to get worse. I always want to see guys get better, especially at the 1A level. More dudes to get looks, everybody, like all the, because the better that the worst teams get, and the better the competition is for the good teams. And I like when there's parity. I like when there's tough matchups. I like when it's not just beating up and mercy ruling teams every week. It's way more fun, honestly.
yeah, Yeah, much more. I mean, both much more fun to play in and much more fun to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you this: about halfway through the covering part, halfway through my season where I was covering everything, I had only seen one game that was within three scores. Five games into the season.
Which game was that? Was that the Holyoke Lyman game?
No, well, I mean that I was personally at. That
Oh,
was
my bad.
oh nah, you're good. But it was Mountain Vista versus Ralston Valley,
Yeah. Okay.
and like after that for like 4 straight weeks, it was like 52-0, 48-7.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's just unfortunately not one. It's in my opinion, and like obviously like winning's fun, but I would rather play a game that beats me up like Wiggins every year rather than something, super like easy and not competitive,
yeah,
like
it's
I want to feel it the next day. And like I think a perfect example is Clear Creek, because whereas a lot of the teams in our league, they're not good, but at least they're tough. Like Middle Park is tough. Platte Canyon, they're tough. Are they as good as they might think they are, or a lot of other people might think they are? No, but they have players who have heart. And in my 2 years of playing Clear Creek, they don't have that. They don't have football players really. And the fact that we scheduled them for homecoming this year really sucked because they scored on us on a kickoff because we had a freshman, like it was the first play of the game. We had a freshman who he was contained and he went inside. He didn't know it was his first week playing it. We had a guy not show up. So when we started off like that, I was pissed because I was like, oh, this is not a team who should really be in with us. And then we proved that from that point on, it was 64-0 but then they ended up, since they had that touchdown and I think they got the 2 point, it was
yeah.
like 64-8. But I hate games like that. I was telling Paul Smith, he was our defensive back and stuff. I was telling bro, I was like, man, I hate this, dude. Like, this is not fun. Like, I'm not enjoying this. And he was like, dude, me neither. Like, this is just boring. Like, running up the score on a team, like, it's just not fun, especially for a homecoming game. You want to like
Hmm.
be juiced. You want to have like fun and stuff. And like I was telling him, I was like, dude, I don't even like homecoming. I would rather just like play good football. And we didn't even get to do that.
Let's just skip to the dance.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I hate those.
Yeah. And, and did you ever play against that Boyvert kid from Peyton?
No, no, we never played Peyton.
Ah, okay. He was real good. He had like 24 tackles for loss this season. So
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah. But okay. I mean, you talked a lot about your teammates there. Paul Smith, you just brought up, but who are some guys that you've interacted with like in the off season that have had an impact on your game, and how would you describe that impact?
Man, um, the whole senior group, for the most part, we've been playing together since we were like second graders and stuff. Like we have gotten so much time to like I played on the same flag football team as Landon and Thomas. So just and that's just a really fun thing to be able to do. And then we played little league with Chuck, Tristan, Austin. Like all of us have been playing together for so long that we just like love it so much that like we're all just building on it to be together. But aside from that, probably the biggest person in the off season who's definitely been my kind of like my workout partner, dude who always gets in work with me, is Caden Matthews. He was a sophomore this year, and he's always just been one of those guys who always just puts in the extra work. He might not be getting like the playing time right now, but when the time comes with him, he's gonna be a stud because in the off season, I do 2 a day lifts because we do one in the morning as a team, and then not all the time in the off season, but mainly the summer. But we have the lifts in the morning, and then I'll go work, and then we'll go in the evening, and me and him will do a second lift, or some days we'll go and do some like speed training, or just like go get the ladder out and work some footwork and stuff. Like it's nice having another dude like that, especially a young guy that you could kind of. I always tell him, I'm like, dude, you're gonna be like my little protege, dude. Like, I'm gonna make sure that you're next up and stuff, you know. And having a little dude like that to kind of work with because he wants to get better and he's been getting so much better, and like be somebody who's like, oh man, let's go to the gym today, and always be able to get that like, yes, yes, like let's go, let's put in work, like having that. Like I completely believe that you got to surround yourself with like winners to be a winner, and that kid's a winner, man.
Yeah, I mean, that actually, I mean, that mindset of let's go out, let's get that work, that heart and hustle is really going to make kids like Caden really successful in the long term, right? Like that talent is good, but without that hard work, talent means nothing.
Absolutely. And you can see so many examples of it because I personally just hate to like see when there's dudes who just have like, especially like this is something I was looking at the other day, like there's dudes who've like won the genetic lottery and put in so little work, you know, or like it appalls me when I see a dude make it to the NFL and then like he doesn't make it because he doesn't want to work. Like a guy like Paxton Lynch, I remember, had horrible work ethic, or um, Peyton Turner, who the Saints drafted, has been had like tons of reports of just like awful work ethic and stuff. And I just think like when you're at the highest level, like there has to be something like wrong with you where you're just not like a football player, or like you just don't have love for the game. Because in my opinion, I just think that's like disrespectful to the game. Like you like if you don't put in the work, that's just showing, like I said, disrespect towards all those guys who like put in that work. And maybe like there, I promise you there are so many little 5'9" kids working so much harder than these 6'4" dudes, because they don't get the free handouts just because of their frame. They get only what they work for. And that's kind of just what like I think is kind of like not unfair, because I completely understand it. Like some dudes don't have the frame to be football players, but if we had dudes who had more heart than skill, I would take that every time. And that's what a lot of my coaches have preached too over time, is like we are going to put the players out there who want it the most. Maybe not the best players, but they're going to want it the most. And in my opinion, the best players are the players who want it the most. So they're the same thing.
Hey, that's some good stuff. And what you said there kind of made me think about like in NBA terms, like a bowl.
Yep.
And I'm just like, dude, you're 7'2". So many people would kill for that.
Dude, yeah. I'm 6'1". I'm not undersized by any means. Like I consider myself blessed. But if I like, man, I'd kill to be 6'4". Like if I was 6'4", like the amount of like versatility that would add, just like length and stuff. That's why when I see dudes who are just big and don't put in work, it's so upsetting, because it's like, dude, you could be so great. And then like that, like a great comparison would be like Bull and Isaiah Thomas. Like there's no reason that Bull has a job and Isaiah Thomas doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, maybe Isaiah Thomas is hit, but even then, like he's still the type of guy that's going out there and putting in the work and dropping 70 routinely in every other league in the world.
Yeah. No, that's what's so crazy to me. It's like I don't know why they don't think it will work in the NBA, because the last time he was in the NBA healthy, he was an MVP candidate. Like, doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
The
Oh
undersized
goodness.
hoopers, though, the undersized hoopers deserve more respect. Shout out my man Landon Martin.
Shout out Landon. I mean, we know that the athletic gene runs in that family,
Oh, hell yeah.
but I mean, we touched on it a bit, and it kind of comes back to like people winning not just the genetic lottery, but the socio-geographic lottery, where some guy who, let's say we have somebody who's 6'1", I forget how much you weigh, but let's say like 6'1", 240, gets a good offer just because they're from Texas, just because they're from Georgia. Do you believe that Colorado talent is overlooked, and if so, why?
I 100% do. I think that we're not looked at as like a football state like Texas, Florida, California, Georgia. Like, I don't think that we're looked at as a football state or really even like an athletic state. Because even if you go into like basketball and stuff, you got like Oregon, Washington, all those little like Chicago, not Chicago, but Illinois. Like, we don't get the looks. I don't really know what it is like with the geographics. I just know some places are viewed at as having bigger talent. I don't really know why that is, but I think, say I was a coach, I'd be scouting for talent more than location. And man, I'm blessed with the offers that I've gotten, and I'm so happy with where I'm gonna be going. And I just know that there's like a lot of dudes who would get so many more looks if we weren't not even just Colorado football players, but if we weren't just 1A football players. And like I said, like I'm lucky because I have a D2 offer, and a lot of my teammates who have the ability to be don't like they don't have those offers when they absolutely deserve those. And it's even like I was talking to my friend who lives up in Cherry Creek and goes to school up there. He was like, man, if you just transferred up here with me, man, you wouldn't be talking to these schools. And I'm like, man, you got to be blessed with what you got, you know. And it's something that one of these college coaches had told me early in the recruiting process when I was like a junior, and it was be where your feet are. Like, don't be looking at all the other stuff. Like, don't be worried about like, oh man, like what if I was like this? What if I had 6 more inches on my height? What if I had a better situation? What if I was at a 5A school? What if I was in Texas? And unfortunately, you just have to live with what you got. And honestly, if I had that opportunity, I wouldn't trade what I have now for the world. I get to play with the same dudes that I've played with since I was a kid, playing small town football, which in my opinion is the best football because everybody loves the football team, and it's a special experience to be able to play small town football at a competitive level. Maybe 5A schools, Texas schools, all that bigger and better for exposure. But as far as just true football feel, there's nothing like what we have.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite game that I went to last year, even including the state championships, was Highland versus Flatirons Academy because of the environment in Alt.
Yeah, no,
And
Alt's kind of a beautiful place too. Like, it's a nice small town. I remember we played Highland, but we played them at home my sophomore year, and they're
mhm,
they're not a bad team. They're not a bad team at all. They're tough. They have some good talent. They have a lot of that like farm kid strength type stuff, you know.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, like even though they're small, as we talked about earlier, they're smaller, but they've got heart, and their bigger guys have got it as well, like that Dante Palmer dude.
Yeah, no, I don't know as much about like their players and stuff. I just know, like, I don't know names and stuff, but I know that they just had a lot of grit and that they were a fun team to play against because, like, I don't know, it's just nice to see people who care about the game, even if somebody like you don't have the frame to like be some like college talent, but you're gonna go out there for 4 years of high school when there's really no benefit for you to do it. Like, that's not gonna be something that continues your like career or anything, and you're just doing that to just be one of the guys. That's kind of a big thing to do, in my opinion. Like, I respect dudes who do that because they don't have an incentive to be there, but they still show up to all like the conditioning and all the practices and all the punishments and all that kind of stuff. Like, you go through the hard stuff with little to no reward, honestly.
Yeah. Oh goodness. And I mean, a lot. I mean, you talked about it there. There are a lot of guys who know that they don't have a shot at college, but there's a lot of guys who probably should.
Yeah,
And it it's good that you were able to get yourself those offers. And so, could could you tell us some more about your recruiting story and what that looked like and how you were able to use the tools at your disposal, being a guy from a 1A program?
man, it was tough, but I would say the only way that you could get offers at like a small school is to put yourself out there. Because whereas, like, if you're at like some big old school, especially if you're on a state championship team, like being on Cherry Creek matters more than being on Strasburg to coaches and like at the college level. Like, they'll look at those guys 100 times before they look at you. Even their back, they'll look at a backup lineman for Cherry Creek before they look at a starting lineman for Strasburg or Lyman, sorry. But like it's just kind of how it is, because they think with the bigger schools, bigger bodies and stuff, that they're more like D1 ready or any of that kind of stuff. But you got to use the tools at your disposal. I remember every week I was putting together my highlights for this week, putting together this, getting ready to send them all out. At the end of my junior year, I didn't have any offers. I recruited all during the summer. I got my first 2 offers all the way from out in Pennsylvania during my junior year summer before my senior year. I was rehabbing a torn labrum that I had played with the entire season last year, so it was really kind of hard to get offered because of the fact that they didn't know, like, oh, well, you have this really serious injury. We don't know how you're going to come back from it. We can't really, like, we're going to hold out on offering you up until your senior year to see if we could replicate this kind of stuff. Just with that injury, they didn't know if I'd really come back the same way as I was, and having those two D3 offers from out there. I just wanted to play close to home. I wanted to be close to my family. I wanted to be in this small town feel, because out there isn't all that, you know. But putting out your highlights, messaging coaches. I remember, I think it's like it's some website that you can just go through and search like, oh, every D3, D2 NAIA program in this state, and you could go through. And I went through every state and messaged all the D3s and NAIAs at the end of my junior year, and that helped me get 2 offers. And then I at the end of my senior year, I was just working really hard with these close schools, messaging every school D1 through NAIA, just getting in contact with as many coaches as I could, because there's nothing like this like little area that we got over here, especially in like Kansas and Nebraska. It's like it just does have a small town feel, like you won't really get in a lot of these places.
Yeah.
And I ended up getting it was like 10, 11 offers, and a lot were NAIA D3. But the one place that like I was so blessed to receive an offer from in Chadron State, like it was amazing to just get out there on campus. And honestly, as soon as I got back from that visit, like we're leaving the campus, and I told my dad, I was like, dude, I'm going here. He's like, do you still want to visit? Like I wouldn't even give too much press to the other schools, but he was like, do you still want to visit here and here and here? And I was like, no, like this is where I want to be and stuff. So I got really lucky to get that situation, but honestly, if I didn't put myself out there, it would have never happened. That's why at the D1 level, they're not looking for 1A players, and that's like a common kind of thing, because they don't like it's like what 6-man is to us, to them. Like they don't look at us as kind of something legitimate. And at the 1A level, you're not going to be able to have anybody coming to look at you. You know, you're going to be having to put yourself out there. Whereas in like you said, in a place like Texas, or even in one of these big schools, they'll have so many scouts going to the state game. They'll have scouts going to some random Saturday, Friday night game, which is like unheard of out here, you know. So if you're not gonna put yourself out there, you're not gonna get offers. And I've seen that happen to so many guys. Just like there's so many dudes who have deserved offers, but like the only way to do it is to put everything that you got into it. Just messaging coaches every day, hopping on calls, going to camps. You have to put yourself out there, because no one's coming to get you when you're at this level. You have to go get it, you know.
Yeah, and you really have to do your best to spotlight what's unique about you as a player, and what you can bring to the table. And yeah, I've seen my friend Ethan. He graduated same year as me, but he really had to go through that process, and I saw that with him. And I mean, it's a part-time job basically, right?
Oh, 100%. Like you really have to be doing that stuff. Like it's like telemarketing, I'd say, because you're just cold calling so much, or like quote unquote, because it's more like emails and Twitter DMs and stuff. But you're damn near even putting money into it now, because with how Twitter is now, you can't really message coaches unless you're verified. So I had to pay like $12 a month to even do that. Like, it sucks because if you're not going to be putting yourself out there, they're not going to come get you. So if you want your dreams, you're going to have to work for them. And like, a lot of people run into that.
Yeah, that unfortunately that's the way that we are. Unfortunately, that's the way we're trending.
But honestly, and not even like, I don't want to be glazing or anything, but putting like a lot of respect to you guys. Like, you guys give a lot of 1A guys like some looks and stuff, and honestly, it's really nice just to have that, because it's like every time I get tagged in something from Playmakers Corner, I get to like repost that, and like it shows that like, hey, I'm this small town kid, but I'm still on a media like outlook list and stuff. And honestly, I've had you guys, Colorado Preps, Mile High Prep Report, all these schools. I mean, not schools, media people who have given me like accolades and stuff and watch lists, and like Colorado Preps or Mile High Preps. One of those two is in line with rivals, and they had me ranked as one of the top defensive linemen in 2024 in Colorado, and like all kinds of stuff like that helps so much coming from a small school. And like, it doesn't mean as much to some 5A school who they have dudes on all kinds of stuff talking about them. But coming from like a small little school, when you're getting posted as one of the best players in your like in your state, like that's something to be really proud of. And having guys like you who, like, your guys' what you guys have done for like us, especially at Strasburg, you guys have gotten us on like some watch lists and stuff, and it's really nice to be able to pretty much put those in like recruiting messages, be like, oh, I was in the defensive player of the year race this year. I was a watch list player. I was an all Playmaker team guy, all kinds of stuff like that. I was Mile High Prep Report, All State twice. Like, that kind of stuff helps a ton.
That I mean, that I can't speak for Simon and Cody. From the conversations I've had with them about it, that's a large part of the reason they got into it. That's a large part of the reason I got into it. So I'm tired of seeing guys get overlooked. I'm just tired of it. And I'm glad
I respect that, man, so much.
I'm glad that we could help out and help get you guys the respect that you really deserve. And because you hear these conversations when you're at like 4A and 5A games, and it's like, no, these guys on the lower class, they're doing the same amount of work that you're doing. They're going through the same struggles. They're doing all the same stuff, and you're just blowing them off just because they happen to be born 50 miles east.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense, because honestly, probably the biggest compliment I've ever received is from my coach, Coach Winter. He like I like not just respect the guy, but I like look up to him. He's like, that man's just somebody that like I want to be like so much. Like, he's been a staple of like what a football player, what a football coach is to a person. And that guy is just, he's just a football guy through and through. And when he told me one time, he was talking to me before like the season, and he was like, man, like, this needs to be like your year. And he told me, he's like, I like, I've said this about like very few people to come through, but like, you're a player that I truly believe, like, you're a football player, so you could play at any level. And I'm so like, we're so glad to have you here. Like, and he was telling me and a couple of the other seniors, like, this is this is kind of like, we're going as far as you go type stuff. But when like that compliment of pretty much him telling me that, like, and he played at Air Force, so that's a D1 school, you know, like he's a big time player, big time coach. He was amazing in high school.
Yeah.
Hearing it from somebody like that, somebody that I've looked up to for all 4 years of high school, even in middle school when I'd go like watch the like high school team, like just looking up to that guy for forever. When he told me that, like, that I could play anywhere, and like when he calls you a football player, that means something. I've not heard him call a lot of people football players, and damn, when he calls you a football player, that means something at, like, out where we come from, and that's something that always stuck with me.
It sounds like he's a good coach, and I mean, as he said, coming from Air Force, that's about as big and disciplined as a program can get.
You have to go through the football workouts, which suck. You have to go through the military workouts, which suck. You are tougher than any team that you play against until you play another service academy. And I love watching service academy games. Like when Army plays Navy or when Navy plays Air Force, I will drop anything I'm doing that day to watch it because those games are gritty. They play harder than anybody, and you can respect every player on that field because they're all way more selfless than any dude at any other D1. You know?
Yeah. Well, when you said that you drop everything, for some reason, the first thing to my mind was Aunt Sherry postpone the wedding. It's Army Air Force.
Dude, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, but
I don't know. I might still watch Army Air Force.
yeah, and I mean, you mentioned it briefly earlier, and these different styles of football, like the Army and Air Force, run heavy, but also like knowing when to open it up, like kind of older fashioned, but like it works for them, obviously.
Yeah, like Air Force was great this year. Like they were great.
I unfortunately saw that firsthand. But that snow game was fun though. But these different styles of ball are getting a lot more exposure due to social media and media in general. So how has media impacted your perspective on the sport?
Well, my perspective, I think the only way it's really impacted me is like sometimes it kind of like sometimes it'll piss me off and I'll be like looking at like something rivals posted and like looking at some dude's highlights and like I'll truly and they'll be like, yeah, this guy's a 4-star. Like, man, I swear I'm better than him or something like that. But then other times it'll be like it's so much fun because it's like you have like accessibility to like what my favorite thing is sports. So sports media having this highlight and this highlight and this highlight in your face, like sometimes that's not great for me because I could just sit there and watch it for 45 minutes and just kill some like absolutely burn through some of my time, which isn't always a good thing. But I as a football, like as just a sports guy, I love it because it makes me able to keep up with everything. But at the same time, sometimes I'll be like man, or even sometimes the way the sports media just like shows some players in a different light. I don't like that. Like at least at the professional level and stuff, like how much they praise a player like LaMelo Ball, who's a highlight player, doesn't contribute to winning, super inefficient, misses tons of shots, but then they'll be posting hate about like Karl Anthony Towns, who's 50, 40, 90, multiple time All NBA, like hard worker on the second, like he's the second best player on the best team out west. Like then they'll be posting like some hate about him about like his defense or something when his defense is the best it's been in his career. But then in the same breath, they'll be talking about LaMelo like he's an All NBA player because he's putting up 25 on 40% shooting, and they'll post all his highlights and stuff. I think sports media has a lot of impact on especially how young people view like sports because of the fact that like they put so much out about certain players and then not about a lot about other players. Like I think sports media definitely impacts how a lot of players are viewed, even at like the NFL level. Just because you have 9 picks doesn't mean you're a great corner. It doesn't mean you're a bad one, but me personally, I think Deron Bland and what's his name, Trayvon Diggs had really overrated seasons in their years, having the huge interception seasons. Because cool, you're a ball hawk. Like that's not something that you could take away. 9 picks, 11 picks, like that's very impressive. But at the same time, you look at the amount of yards that they've allowed, the amount of completions that they've allowed, and you look at it like, damn, these guys are damn near either getting the ball back for their team or giving up a touchdown type stuff. Like you can't put too much impact on stats. That's why I really like PFF and stuff because they can give a lot of respect to players who do like the less respected stuff, the blocking grades and stuff or the run stop stuff because like maybe you didn't get the tackle for loss but you had 60 tackles for 2 or less yards. Like that's big time.
Yeah, I get you. Like, I think I saw it was Sabonis. Sabonis has more triple doubles this calendar year than Jokic or Luka.
Yeah, no, he's been going crazy. The fact that he wasn't an all-star over Anthony Davis is a joke because like Anthony Davis and LeBron, they're like the 11 seed. There is no way that they should have two all-stars.
Yeah, like
De'Aaron
I,
Fox and Domantas Sabonis missed it. That was crazy to me because Domantas
that was
Sabonis
insane.
is averaging almost a triple double, and he like you said, he's had more than Jokic in the calendar year. And then you go look at De'Aaron Fox, he's averaging almost 30 on great efficiency. And I saw a lot of people kind of coming at Cat and some of them for that, and I looked at it as like, no, like this isn't like the Kings versus like the Timberwolves guys. Like this is why the hell is Paul George making it when he's averaging like 21 on bad shooting splits over De'Aaron Fox, and why is AD making it when he's the 11 seed and missing 2 games a week? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like I was talking with a guy about this the other day, and like the idea I had is like kind of like the MLB, where it would be a 15 person roster. First of all, I don't know why they haven't expanded that, but 15-person roster. Each of the teams that's at least play in gets one guaranteed all-star, and then there's 5 wild cards.
I like that. I actually really like that.
Yeah, like that. I don't know. The sports are slow to change.
To me, at least, it's, like I respect All Star more than I respect Pro Bowl, like in the NFL. But to me, Pro Bowls don't matter. All Pro does because like Pro Bowl is a joke now. Like I like Gardner Minshew, but there's no way that dude's a Pro Bowl quarterback. Or like how is Tyler Huntley or Mac Jones, like guys like that. It just like it doesn't make sense because especially because that's a flag football game. Like nobody respects being a Pro Bowler anymore. Like that's nothing. It's how many All Pros do you have? You know.
Yeah, like now, granted, Ryan Stonehouse should have been it. Well, he should have been in both last year, and he would have been if he hadn't gotten hurt this year. But
Is he the punter?
yeah, he's
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's kind of insane thinking about that.
I hate that it's fan voting too, because like that it like perpetuates like the whole like, oh, this is the media's guy, like the media likes this guy, and so all the fans that are voting have seen 20 highlights from this guy in the past week, but he's allowed 600 yards on the season, and this guy's allowed less than 100, but he doesn't have all the flashy highlights. He's just been a lockdown corner, and you look at that like, man, come on, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I get what you're saying. It's it's kind of wild, and
The bad one's offensive line because then they just vote for
oh
the
yeah,
big names and like it's a blessing Eric McCoy got in as a reserve this year, but he had a hell of a year. So the fact that he wasn't like one of the first picks in there was crazy. Or
yeah,
like Ryan Ramczyk got snubbed of it so many years, and that this year he probably didn't deserve it. He missed a lot of games with injury and stuff, and he might retire after the year with how bad his injuries are getting. But like the guys who got it this year were great, but like you look at some guys who didn't get it, like I'm pretty sure Darisaw didn't get it. He was amazing. Like he was lights out this year, and
yeah,
he didn't get it. You know?
yeah, and like who was that one guy for the Cowboys? Because I remember seeing that one stat where it's like, yeah, this guy has
Oh, Tyler Smith,
yes, yeah,
the
where he
rookie,
has
the
more
rookie.
pro. Oh no. I was thinking a little bit older, where he had more
Oh,
Pro Bowl
Tyron Smith.
selections than Pro Bowl selections than holding penalties in his
Oh,
career.
that's Tyron Smith. That one's Tyron
Oh
Smith.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
they got
and,
Tyler Smith, the rookie, who was an All Pro, and then they got Tyron Smith, who's the like veteran defense or not defensive, offensive tackle who has like less than 15 career sacks allowed or something.
yeah. And I was looking at his Pro Bowl selections one time, and I was just like, wait, how does he not like I understand the first 2 years, rookie, sophomore, like you still got to work your way in. And you're looking at the rest of it, and you're like, how do you only have like I think it was like 6 or 7 in a 13-year career, something like that.
Yeah, and that's crazy to me because then you like the one that I think is because like I said, I care about all pros when I'm like measuring player success more than I care about Pro Bowls. Lane Johnson has more freaking all pros than he has sacks allowed, I'm pretty sure. I read that somewhere one time. I'm not sure if that's correct, because if so, that'd be crazy because he's had a long career. But I read that somewhere, and I would not believe it.
Yeah, damn. Damn.
Yeah, like that, and that's crazy. And I mean, like, damn, if you're not allowing those sacks, why not give him the All Pro? You know, like I know he pitched a shutout this year. He had 0 this year, and it's not like he goes against bums either. That's the NFC East, right? So they got
Yeah.
Micah Parsons that he's blocking. They got early in the year Chase Young and Montez Sweat before they went to other teams. They got Dexter Lawrence. They have great defensive linemen. Like Kayvon Thibodeau had a pretty good year. Like they were going against talented players. DeMarcus Lawrence, like that's like out of the 16 games, 17 games that you play, all 6 weeks of your in conference is really hard, and it's like you got to respect that, you know.
Yeah. I get what you're saying. They gotta. Oof. Yeah, that's a pretty tough schedule.
Yeah.
I feel bad. We have gone really off track here.
Man, yeah.
I mean, it's fun stuff to talk about, though. So
I don't mind it, not at all.
Yeah. Moving back a little bit more towards you and the Berg. Did you listen to the season preview of Strasburg that I think it was that Simon did?
Yep. Yeah, I did.
What were your thoughts on it? Like, just obviously, it's been a few months, so if you don't remember the details, that's fine.
I don't remember it exactly, but then I remember, like, because as much, like, we really like the Playmakers guys, because, like I said, you guys have given us so much exposure and stuff, but we had, I think we were projected a little bit worse than we ended up being, and I think you guys so at first we kind of like scoffed at like that like lose to Holyoke prediction. Then we are like, oh, you know what, like whatever, because they only said that because it's on the road. Then we got blown out, so it was like whatever. We were fixing a lot of stuff early in the season. Like a lot of guys just weren't in the right position to succeed. I personally myself was super out of shape. Like I rushed back from that shoulder injury. I was like super fat and out of like not conditioned. So I was like I was 260 but not good weight, and right now I'm back down to 240 but good weight, you know, like I can move good and stuff, and like we were really out of shape, so that one didn't bother us. I'm pretty sure the one, I think they gave the edge to Wiggins because it was on the road. We ended up winning that one. Lyman they were right about, but honestly the preseason preview, well, like we definitely, when they said that our league would be a little bit tougher this year, we scoffed at that. Like we knew that Platte Canyon was about to get ran through, because like that one we were like, oh, there's no chance. Like we're not gonna like let them mess with us. Like we dominate league games. Like that's the one thing. Like my high school career never lost a league game, and that's something that we're all very proud of. And honestly, I think it's been in our head coach's tenure, we've never lost a league game, and he's been with us for like 8 years. So,
Damn.
Yeah, and so that's always something that's like a staple that we have at Strasburg. We don't lose league games. Well, next year we're going up to 2A, so the Young Bucks are going to have to deal with Elizabeth, who was really good, and Kent Denver, who was the 2 seed. So it's like, oh man, oh Lord, because that's what our league's going to be. We have the 2 seed and the 5 seed. So it's like they had a kid with 22 sacks. Kent Denver did
as a sophomore.
Yeah, that kid. And then they had a senior on the other side of him that had 13. That's crazy, man.
And then they got upset in the first round by.
Hey, man, I don't know if you could ever call it an upset when it's Eaton, man. They're like that.
Yeah, Eaton is just built incredibly different.
We felt pretty like, oh, whatever, because like there wasn't anything super outlandish on the preseason stuff.
Yeah.
But the one that we were like, oh no, is when we saw the playoff stuff, like, because we thought you guys had us losing to Gunnison, and we are like, oh man, like these are our boys, so we'll have to like talk a little mess after we end up winning all these games, and you know, like be like, hey, come on. But Oh yeah, no, because I think only one only had us making it to the semifinals. I think it I don't remember which one of you guys it was, but only one dude had it. Oh no, it was you guys had like a fourth dude who wasn't from Playmakers Corner on there, right?
Well, we added Gino this year, so it became 4 from last year when it was just 3 of us.
Okay, because like the fourth dude who I didn't know as much because I knew you, Simon, and Cody. That one was the only one who had us making the semifinals. And like I won't lie, Gunnison was a tough team, but after that trick play that they scored on us, in the first play, it was all us from there. Landon had, in my opinion, the best game of his career. He had like 5 touchdowns. Coach Brown was dialing it up. That man Landon was slinging the rock. Our kicker had a toe tap touchdown in the end zone. Shout out Julian. We were on one that game. It was so much fun. Like going all the way up there, staying in a hotel, and then just going and we were the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
We were like we were on upset watch because we always listen to your guys' podcast, mainly only when they concern us. But
Yeah.
like you guys had us on upset watch versus North Fork, and I was like, man, we're like low key like I was like we're having like the most underdog run ever because we got not picked 4 weeks in a row.
That, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Oh no worries because like I said, the amount that you guys have done for us completely evens out with your predictions because it's an anybody can beat anybody type of league, and with
Yeah.
how like we looked going into that was our only thing because like I said, the preseason ones we were all right with, but I'd say probably the playoff ones gave us a little chip on our shoulder, you know.
Hey, that's completely fair. I always say, oh God. Okay, so slight diversion. When I was doing my season previews, I did Prospect Ridge Academy.
Oh yikes.
Yeah. So you do know about them.
Oh, we played them my freshman year, and we played them at team camp this year.
Oh no.
They couldn't get a pass off on us because I just push pulled their left tackle or their right tackle every play, and like they just only passed. Like when we were at team camp, they only passed, and I picked off a screen pass versus them like in preseason. I was just
God.
like toss it like I beat their tackle with the same move almost every play, and they couldn't get one off because they'd have to whistle it dead because like if you get close to the quarterback at team camp, like they don't hit the quarterback, so it's like you tag off and then they whistle it dead. They
Yeah.
they didn't get a pass off on us. Like I knew Prospect Ridge was like because when we played them, they were god awful, but when we played them at team camp, they were even worse.
Yeah. And so the point that I'm getting to is I felt bad because they did end up going winless, and I predicted they were going to go winless. I was like, and I said, listen, I want you guys to prove me wrong. I want you to win a few games here. But this is just how and that's how I always, that's what I always say with this kind of stuff.
You know what? I think I remember you saying that because I listened to pretty much all the previews before the season. Because like for me, like we didn't get like we don't really get the scouting report until week of, at least the
Yeah.
line. The line's the only ones who get scouting reports, and then we all watch film as a team.
Yeah.
But I since I didn't have as much knowledge, I always listened to the preseason stuff because like at least listen to what you guys have prediction wise will give me an idea of what kind of playmakers do they have returning, like what kind of team are they going to be this year, kind of.
Yeah.
And I think I actually do remember you saying that. And at least they didn't make you look bad, and at least
Yeah.
couldn't pull one out. But
My,
yeah.
yeah, like the main bits where I was wrong is when I overestimated teams. Um,
And
this year.
I'll actually say right now, putting us on upset watch versus North Fork wasn't super outlandish. Not because we weren't way better than them, because even with how we played them, we didn't play them well. We only beat them 21-7. That's a team we should have beat by like 30.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, a lot of guys. So that week, the new season of like the OG season of Fortnite, you know that game?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, it came out. So we had probably 6 or 7 starters who slept less than 8 hours that night. So
Because of course.
yeah, everybody was playing like lackluster as hell for our standards, and like our coach chewed our asses because his son has us all on PlayStation, and he was like, after we beat them, we ran so much that like, because we run like this thing called hell circles. You have to run around the field for every penalty or turnover that we have.
Oh no.
And you have to get it, like, linemen have to get it in less than 60 seconds, skills in under 50, and you have to run around the width of the field. It's like a little less than a 100 type stuff.
Yeah.
And oh my god, our coach was like so pissed because like he had us doing some wild conditioning for that, which was justified. Like I said, that's a team that we should have beat by 30. Like, they weren't a bad team by any means, but that wasn't a 2-score game. Like, we
Yeah.
played so bad.
Yeah, so it's like they were better than any team that you played in conference, but they should have.
They should have been an easy, like, first round. Let's take care, like Burlington was last year. Like, wow, this is a way better team than anybody that we played in league, but we're still going to beat you 35-7, which is right about where I feel like we should have beat North Fork. Did we beat North Fork like that? No. Granted, also, it wasn't just Fortnite. A lot of people weren't just playing Fortnite. We were sick as hell. Like, we had a terrible bug going around the team for week 1 of the playoffs, and we had 2 dudes who were up just throwing up. We had dudes who were throwing up on, like, the sideline of the game, me included and stuff. Like, we were all really sick. So, like, we had a lot going against us that week. Some of it, self-caused, and some of it not.
Yeah. Fair enough. It's the way you describe the team environment reminds me a lot of my friend Braden, who he played for Manitou. He just graduated, or will be graduating here in a couple months. But there was one game where he got a concussion, got a cut so bad he had to get like 3 stitches, and his girlfriend was the kicker, and the other team got 3 roughing the kicker penalties, and so he was absolutely pissed. But
Wait, his girlfriend was the kicker?
Yes.
Oh, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it was a fun story, but it was still an absolutely insane game because he still had like 13 tackles and a sack, even though like the 2-inch deep cut was in the middle of the first quarter and the concussion was in the second.
Yeah, dude, you just can't go out, and that's something I've learned with high school football. We have kind of like a code where like you don't go out there, and like it's not just us, like all little schools do this, and it's not by the coaches, it's by us, our own merit. We have a rule where like if you're feeling like a little bit like rocked, you just kind of stay in. You if you're injured, as long as you're not like, we have we definitely highlight the difference between hurt and injured. If you're hurt, you play. If you're injured, that means that you can't play anymore. Like, and we've had guys who are injured play more. I tore my labrum, which is what holds your shoulder socket together, my junior year in preseason, and I played the entire year with it dislocating multiple times a practice, multiple times a game. I won't say who it is because I'm pretty sure he has still kept this pretty quiet, but we had a starting offensive lineman who was very important to our team play with 2 partially torn ACLs, and that's just toughness, man. Like, that's what you got to do. And we've had more dudes who, like I said, I won't put like names on it because I wouldn't want to get anybody in trouble, but like we've had tons of guys play through some serious injuries. Zach Marrero, when he was a senior last year, played through turf toe, and that is one of the most painful things that somebody could experience. Like, we have tough guys, we have gritty guys. We had a dude who needed elbow surgery right after the season, and he got it the day after, like, we got out of that game, and he went to the ER and got that surgery, but he was our starting outside linebacker. Like, it's like a code where the coaches will always tell you if you're hurt, like, tell somebody, like, always tell somebody. But then we're all telling each other, like, if you're hurt, don't tell anybody. Just go out and, like, ball out, be you. You have time to be hurt later in life. You don't get your whole life to play college football. I mean, high school football. But I think that's just kind of routine because you hear all kinds of stories like that. I remember it was crazy. Mason Claunch had appendicitis, got his appendix removed. We thought he wasn't going to play us my sophomore year. He ended up playing us like genuinely 2 days after that surgery. I don't even understand how he
Oh
was
my
physically.
God.
I don't understand how he was physically able to do that.
I don't either. I've had appendicitis.
Yeah,
And
no,
I
like,
wasn't allowed to get out of bed for a week,
yeah,
let
no,
alone.
I just think it's how 1A is when you're like, because I was a kid from up in Centauri, absolute baller. But like, and they ran it up on us my sophomore year. Like they beat the hell out of us, but they wouldn't have done it without him. I'll tell you that. And he had appendicitis 2 days before that. He got his appendix removed. And I just think that's what 1A football is. Like if you're hurt, you play through it if you can. You know, like if you tear your ACL, you tear your Achilles. Like those are things. Like if you break something, unless it's a finger, you don't quit. Like you can't just give up. We had a dude who played with a club on for the end of the year. He was our nose guard. He had to play with a club on his, like, I think it was either his right or his left hand because he broke like his thumb and his wrist, and he also had a really like messed up knee. We had another dude who had like a really messed up rotator cuff. Like it's just like you don't like you're not able to quit, man. Like it's just not, it's not something that you do in like this small town football because like you and those guys have such like a tight bond. You don't care how you feel. You're gonna play for the guy next to you because you understand you don't have forever to play with that guy, and you love that dude, so you want to keep playing with him, and you want him to keep playing with you. So you're looking at him 2 plays after your shoulder dislocated, and he can't even see straight, and you're like, oh, time to get back to it, kind of, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, that really brought me back to again my junior year, that state championship. Our quarterback played the entire postseason with a torn ACL.
That's so
Like
respectable, man.
the day after the state championship, just as he said, he got that repaired, and like he had to miss his senior season, but he was like, I don't know when the next time the school's going to make it to this point.
Yeah, so like, and that's one of those things where it's like you gotta be the guy. Like you're a hero at that point, you know.
Trust me, I just sent you a clip on Instagram of the best play I've ever seen in person, and he did that on a torn ACL, and it was like 4th and 12, and he managed to make a 35-yard pass after almost getting sacked, stumbling, and then having to go back like 10 yards. It's insane.
And on a torn ACL is absolutely crazy because like I said, we've had so many guys play through so much stuff, but like I just know there's so many dudes who like not just would like love to play in, like we'd all love to play another game together. Like we're such a tight knit group. Like I said, we've played since a lot of us were like 6, you know.
Yeah.
But like you don't sacrifice that opportunity to go out there and play with your friend, play with your brother. Honestly, like you don't have another opportunity like that. Once you're done, for most people, you're done. You know, like not a lot of people are going to go play college football. I've been blessed enough to, but a lot of dudes who could, should, just don't want to, they don't, you know? So if they had more of an opportunity to play again with those same guys that, like I said, we've been playing together for forever, like you wouldn't sacrifice that just for your quote unquote health, you know?
Yeah. Hey, I get what you're saying there. Oh, goodness. And I mean, we've talked about it some with like the small town mentality. And what separated this Strasburg team from your competitors across the state?
Man, I think we had a special team, not just compared to our competitors, but compared to any team I've ever played for. We had, I wouldn't say any team because there was one comparable year, and it was when we made the state championship my freshman year. I think great teams happen from great leaders at the top, and that's great coaches. Like we have an amazing coaching staff. Coach Brown is our head coach. He played at Nebraska. Coach Ross is our defensive coordinator. Played at Western. My dad coaches for us. He played at UNK. We have our Coach Dodge. He played at Bethany. Coach Birchie played at Kansas State. Like, we have a deep, deep group of coaches. And guys like that, especially dudes like, to me, Coach Winter, you look at him and, like, I would do anything that guy tells me to do. Like, I respect him. Like, that guy is somebody that, like, no matter what, like, you just listen to. So having great coaches is what brings you that far. But then you also have to have great leadership from your players, and that trickles down from the top. So as seniors, you have to set a good example. And that was something that we, like, really tried to highlight. Like, oh, bro, like, I'm like really pissed off. Like, I'm hurting. Like, I don't want to be here today. Yeah, bro, I completely understand, but we can't show that, because if we feel that way, that's gonna be the tone of the entire practice, because everybody else looks at what we're doing and they're gonna, like, bounce off that. They're gonna, like, act the same way that we're acting. So if we're acting like we don't want to be here, the freshmen aren't gonna want to be here. The sophomores aren't gonna go as hard on scout team, like, all that kind of stuff. It's leadership. And then other than that, we have a special group who's played together for forever, and we put in some culture this year that is unlike anything I've ever been in. We had so much, like, we were such a tight knit group that just, like, that is what got us as far as we could have gone. Just loving the dudes around you and knowing that you do anything for them, that'll take you so far. And like I said, just, like, leadership and grit is what made us the whole season, and 100% the culture that we put in place. Everybody was working hard. If you weren't working hard, we didn't want you there. We had we had a senior class of we had 10 this year,
Mm-hmm.
but we were supposed to have 14. We had 4 guys quit out on us before the year, and some for good reasons. Like, shout out, I'll say it right now, and I know he'll listen to the podcast. My best friend, Michael Ayers, was on your guys' preseason offensive tackle watch list. He did not play football this year because my man is starting, like pilot school and, like, cadet school, like, training for all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So all respect to him. That's, like, a good reason.
fair
And
enough.
now the rest of the dudes won't be named because they quit for not good reasons. But, like, those guys just thought that they, or, like, some dudes, one of the dudes had family stuff, so no issues with him. But some dudes just quit because they didn't want to put in the work in the summer, or they thought that they weren't respected by the coaches when they hadn't really done anything to earn that respect, you know?
Yeah.
And I think weeding out those guys, because we went hard. Like, for conditioning week, we went hard this year. And and I think that conditioning week weeded out a lot of guys who didn't want to be there. 6 a.m. lifting every day in the summer weeded out a lot of guys who didn't actually want to be there. All that kind of stuff is enough to, like, when you get through that, you start with 65 guys, and then you go into the season with 43, and you look at, oh, I know every one of these guys wants to be here with me because we've gone through everything together. We've grown together. We've, like, struggled together, and we know that, like, this is a tight knit group, and that's what took us as far as we did.
Yeah.
Everybody just absolutely fighting for everybody next to them.
Yeah. And I mean, if Hell Week wasn't one of the hardest things you've ever done, then it's not really a Hell Week, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. And this
Yeah.
is one I definitely won't name names for because I don't want to make him look bad. But I remember this kid's freshman year, he walked out of conditioning week. Like, he just walked out. Like, we go get water. We're all like, "Where's this guy?" And he came back, and he's played 3 years of football ever since, and he started for us this year. I'm not going to name his name because I know he'd be mortified. But we always tease him about that because he's my buddy. He was like, but I'm like, "Hey, man, you remember when you did this?" He's like, "Man, shut up, bro."
Yeah. He's just like, come on, man. It was 4 years ago. It sounds like he's learned his lesson, though.
Oh, 100%. He was one of the harder workers on the team that we had this year, and definitely somebody who stepped up.
Very good. And I mean, you've talked about it there, like a bunch of lessons that you hope that some of the younger guys are going to take with them moving forward without. I mean, you said it's only 10 seniors, but you also said that you're losing 10 starters. So who are some guys that maybe didn't get as much of a chance this year that we should be looking out for?
Man,
Obviously, Caden Matthews and your brother Mason, but
Yeah, no. So just to talk a little bit about those two guys real quick. My little brother, he's been putting in that work as much as he can. Right now he's playing basketball and stuff, so he hasn't been able to be in the weight room with me as much. But when he's not playing, he's absolutely just like he's been working his butt off. So he's gonna be a center next year. I'm completely positive of it because he's gonna put in the work to be. We don't do handouts in this program, and that's something that I've told him. But he's ready to work for it, and we're graduating Chuck, multiple time All-State senior,
Mm-hmm.
center. He's a dog, and Chuck's worked with Mace a lot, and he thinks he's gonna fill those shoes pretty good. Caden, like I said, that kid's my prodigy. I can't wait until I get to see what he's been able to do, even in a small sample size this year. He had a sack every time. Every time he was in, he was going 100%. He was in on the pile every time. One of the first guys hustling the ball. I want to see a big chance of that kid making some impact on defensive line this next year, graduating all three of our starters. Or actually, well, one of them moved back down to Ian is going to be big, but we already know about Ian. He's a stud. But Aiden Dodge, he was our corner this year. He started as a freshman. He's Zach Marrero's brother, so obviously he already has some pretty tough blood in him, knowing that like what Zach did. Like Zach started from when he was a freshman to a senior, and he's up wrestling at high level like right now. Like that dude is that kid Aiden. I don't even just think he'll be great at corner next year because I truly believe as far as like our sweep back, like we call it a two back, like
Mm-hmm.
he'll be running all the edges and stuff. That kid is so athletic, super fast, and a great kid. Like he was a defensive specialist this year with a lot of us. We had a unit of guys who just played defense because blessed enough we had a lot of dudes who like on offensive and defensive line we had our guys just starting one way because we wanted everybody to kind of stay fresh. And we had a group of dudes who were just specialists on defense, and it was me, DJ Cannon, Aiden, um, Tristan Goebel, and I'm pretty sure the other one was Ian Ross. And Aiden was one of those defensive specialists, and I just like I've always just came to love the kid. Like he's a great work ethic, freaky athletic. He's so fast, and like that just runs in the family. His sister was like the state champ in the 100 meter and stuff in track this year. Like that's an athletic kid, and he can jump,
Oof.
he can run. He was locked down at corner for us this year. I'd be looking to see him do a lot of stuff on offense this next year. Um, Ethan Freeman, he's going to be middle linebacker. He started a couple games at middle linebacker when we were dealing with some injuries this year, but not just middle linebacker. He'll be filling in for DJ there, where DJ and him are very similar players, just like gritty, maybe a little undersized, but just gritty. It's probably the toughest dude that you got out there. To give you an idea, like I said, like it's a special thing to get called a football player by Coach Winter, and Coach Winter said that kid Ethan, he's like a buck 50, and he's gonna be a football player. Like he works harder than anybody. And man, I love going to JV games and watching him just lay the boom, man. Like he hits hard. He's a football player through and through. He just loves putting in that work.
Heck yeah.
And
Heck.
then sorry, but last but not least, I'd say we got my buddy Juan Fernandez, big tackle, looking to probably play some defense this next year. He started at tackle as a sophomore for us this year, and he's gonna do some big things, some really big things. And then I won't go too much more in depth, but like I said, we graduated a lot of guys, so there'll be a lot of guys stepping up. But I'd look out for Jorge Parra. Started out for outside backer for us this year, but he'll probably be playing more tight end next year. I'd look out for Cam Manahan, who will be filling in for what Austin did for us this year. I'd look out for probably Damian Garcia, who is our deep ball threat this year. Freaky fast, probably the fastest player on our team. And last but not least, probably RJ Weaver, who will be stepping up to play quarterback for us next year, filling in those shoes of Landon Martin, and hopefully continuing the great run of quarterback play that we've had at Strasburg. So those are the guys. Sorry I didn't expand on the other five. I just know I was listing quite a few guys, wanted to give everybody their love, you know.
Hey, it's not a bad thing to want guys to have that opportunity. So I completely understand that. And hey, You've given us a lot to look at in terms of potential watch list guys. So
For sure, for sure. Oh, you know what? I just couldn't not name this guy. Christian Villa. He's a big body. He started at guard for us this year. He started nose guard for a few games with some injuries that we were dealing with. I'd look out for him too. Really big, strong kid.
ooh.
And that should be all. That's everybody.
All right. I'm gonna just Via. I thought you said Via.
Oh, like Villa.
Okay.
Big, strong kid. He's already chasing a few of my weight room records. He's giving me a little bit of a scare because I think he might break him by the time he's a senior.
Dang.
Kid's a monster, and he's gonna do some huge stuff. I always tell him he's built like a freaking grizzly bear, dude.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Those types of guys are pretty scary.
Yeah, no, like I love like we're gonna be in some good hands next year. We're gonna have we'll have like pretty much our whole offensive line returning. No, our whole offensive line aside from my little brother stepping up, will be all fresh on skill positions because we started all seniors this year with the exception of, like I said, Damian, deep ball threat. We'll watch out for him, and then Cam in some certain sets. But all those guys I think are gonna step up, do huge things, absolutely huge.
Heck yeah. And I mean, you just named a bunch of guys who are going to be doing some good stuff, and who you really admire. But looking a little bit more at this year, when when we first released our list of the all PMC teams,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was from Strasburg in particular. It was you and okay. So is it Julian Raoul or is it just Julian?
So his name is we just call him Julian, but so it's like a hyphenated, like, so he doesn't have a middle name, but I think that's either, we've never really like gotten into like the like particulars of it, but it's only Julian. I'm pretty sure it's Raul Valencia is his last name, but yeah, best kicker in the state, now the all-time record for PAT holding or PAT
Ooh.
kicking. So respect to that guy. I'm blessed
Yeah.
that he's been our kicker since freshman year. He came in with us, and man, that guy's putting the work.
Yeah, and I mean, what did you think? Well, looking at that all PMC team seniors, I mean, obviously yeah. What did you think of the all PMC team? Just looking at it.
I'm always blessed to get on there, but as more of a defensive lineman, I would always like to see myself on D line. But like I said, I'm just blessed to be on there. But the only big, probably glaring one would be Austin Velasco. He was like the Mile High Prep Report receiver of the year. He had a crazy good year. I would have probably put him out at one of the receivers if, like, that would probably be the only big gripe I had. I understand Landon not being on there with how competitive the quarterbacks are and stuff, but if you guys ever expanded the list to more quarterbacks, he would definitely be a guy who's just such a standout player, and he's made so many huge plays for our team. Thomas Devlin, he does so much in the run game and the blocking game. Like the running backs that you guys had on there, I'm pretty sure it was that kid from Rye and Logan Botcher. So completely understandable why he wasn't on there, because as good as a season as he had, those get like that Rye kid had like something crazy this year, like an
He ended
absolutely
with
incredible
2,000.
year. And Botcher was the leading rusher on the state championship team, so can't argue with that. It's hard, really, with the offensive linemen because you have to pretty much look into who you've seen tape of and stuff, because there's not stats to say who's a good offensive lineman. But I would say Chuck always just deserves a nod like that because of just how much of a leader he is for us on that offensive line. He taught all those young guys pretty much everything this year. And yeah, no, I'd say probably, as far as I'm concerned, the only big snub was probably Moose, Austin Velasco. But aside from that, maybe on defense, Paul Smith. I know there was like a lot of good defensive backs this year, but Paul's just a hard worker, made a lot of big plays for us. He had a pick in 3 of the different playoff games for us this year. So that just shows you kind of he's a big time playmaker.
Yeah.
He also was the receiver on our 2 biggest plays in the state championship. He's just a big play maker, and he's always made for the moment, you know. I don't know if his stats really reflected in an all playmaker team this year, but say he got more looks as a junior, sophomore. He started a couple games as a sophomore, and as a junior, but if he got more looks, he would have definitely been a watch list type of player. He's a big play, just a big play guy. He got us the ball back on offense so many times, and he was like the guy who we'd go to. Like he scored like a 75-yard touchdown um versus Ray in that semifinals game to get us going.
Yeah.
And then he had a pick. He had a pick versus North Fork. He had a pick versus Gunnison and versus Ray. So he's a big play guy. But as far as the all playmaker team guys, I think you guys got it just about right. Like I said, with the exception of Austin, I think he had a really huge year as a receiver.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say this: Austin was in the conversation.
For sure. And I know when it gets down to that, it's like so, tight, like so many different guys, and sometimes you just got to go with your gut. But
Yeah.
I think what he did at the highest level, especially being a contributor on both sides of the ball, big time. I'm a little biased because that's left side, strong side, baby. He's my outside backer on that side, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's just such an all-around playmaker that he probably deserved a nod there. And but other than that, honestly, like I said, pretty solid list, man. And yeah.
Yeah. We do the best that we can with all those, and yeah.
And like I said, you guys have helped me so much. I have no complaints. I couldn't really gripe at it.
Hey, fair enough. Yeah, but I'll just tell you, for the receiver spot, we had like 7 different guys that we think could have made it.
Yeah, and that's
like
understandable,
2A.
especially with how good a lot of receivers were, with how good so many receivers were this year. I know all the guys over at Holyoke were eating because Wyatt Sprague's just a dog, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of those Estes Park kids were getting some good volume with that Reeds kid.
Yeah, and then Diamante Maynard paired up with Cartel Dickey was that was a whole thing. But actually, how do you feel that you'll be playing with Wyatt here on the next level?
Stoked, man. He's one of the best players that I've personally got to play against. I got the better of him our junior year when we played. I sacked him 2.5 times, but he got me our senior year, man. He not only beat us like by the same distance that we beat them my junior year. I think both games were 35-7, my junior year in our favor and my senior year in theirs. But not only that, but he juked me out a little bit. Like I said, I was pretty out of shape, but that guy's a dog. And I absolutely think he'll be doing some big things probably from day one. Their DB, I'm pretty sure Bryson Dirks is also going up there, so we're going to be bringing the 1A talent up there for sure.
Heck yeah. We're right now we have a list of all the Colorado players who are going to in-state schools, and I'm thinking about just expanding that to making a big spreadsheet of where all the Colorado guys are going. But
that'll be tough. But I'd say definitely try to expand it to Nebraska and Kansas, because that's where I feel like, or Wyoming, but there's only one school in Wyoming, which is Wyoming.
yeah.
So I'd probably just expand it to those few neighboring states, because I've seen dudes get offers from like Washington and stuff, and that'll be or Washington State, and I know that'll be a little tough. But if you guys, like I said, if you guys ever want to try to go catch some like good games, RMAC football is the best football at the Division II level. That's where my dad played at UNK. That's where my coach Ross played at Western. It's the best of the best that you could get at Division II, and I'm blessed to be going there to play. And it's pretty cool stuff, man. And I don't think you'll see something like it at too many other levels other than D1.
Yeah, it's the D2 SEC, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. And I mean, you actually talked about this a bit earlier, where you're trying to find something similar to that small town like sense of to that small town sense of community and the Friday night lights. And what would you say is unique about the Strasburg community, like that makes you want to keep coming back to that and keep like being in that battle of the bridge against Bennett? And like it is battle of the bridge, right?
Yep, that's exactly what it is. We got a bridge right in between Strasburg and Bennett, and that's what we've been calling it for a while, man.
Yeah.
But there's just something so special about small town football, and I could never put my finger on it. I'm sure it's just the fact that like, because it's what, like, me and the Strasburg guys have been playing the Lyman guys since, like I said, since like middle school and stuff. And we've been playing together since Little League, where we played in, like, it was called the CCMFL. It's like the Coal Creek Midget Football League. And we played that, and we won. We won the whatever, I think it was like the state championship one year. It was really cool. I always, like, me and Landon always be talking about, like, because I posted one time, like, it was like a throwback picture, and it was like me and Landon holding like the trophy when we were that, like, those like little kids. But we've all been playing together for so long that I think that's what's special about, like, small town football. It's also that, like, when you're a small town football player and you're like your town doesn't have a big population, you're going to be pretty well known around town, and everybody's kind of like, everybody's rooting for the hometown team. They're always going to pack out the stands for Friday Night Lights, and they're always going to go watch you take care of business. And it's nice to be a contributing factor to the community in that kind of way, that everybody can go and like build like a community kind of, and see each other, and everybody can like go home in a good mood after watching you win, because we don't lose at home, baby.
Yeah, hard to. It's kind of like the Mountain West. Hard to go into the Berg and snatch victory from the mouth of defeat.
Big time. As a starter, I've only ever lost one at home, and Lyman got the better of us again. But
But also against a team like Lyman, you can't really be too mad about that.
nope, they're doing it right over there. Shout out to all their guys, and especially to their Coach O'Dwyer. Their system over there is absolutely spectacular. They always get the better of us, because they do everything right, man. And honestly, like, no disrespect to any guys there, because they just all do it right, like every single one of them.
Yeah, they're a bunch of dudes. But
Yeah, no, they just, like I said, they don't make mistakes. Everybody buys in, everybody does exactly what their job is, and it takes them far every time without fail.
good stuff. And I mean, talking about like doing it the right way, when you reach the playoffs and you're in that position where, for most guys, like we talk about a lot of guys where they deserve to play college ball. There are a lot of guys where this is just high school football. That's all they're going to be doing. And for a lot of guys, once the playoffs are over, they're never going to play again. And so what's different about playoff football that gives it like that level of atmosphere where it's basically the bridge every single week?
Oh man, I like, it's simple. It's win or go home. It's, if you're the better team, if you're more prepared, you're gonna show that, and if not, you're done. Like, especially as a senior, like, we we got to play the maximum amount of games together this year, even though it didn't come out exactly how we wanted. From how we started off at 1-2, it was, and like that one game, like the one win that we had was a really grinded out win. Like, we made it so far to places that we just, like, if you look at how we started off, we just shouldn't have been there. So maximizing the ability to keep playing with your guys, and it's win or go home at the highest level. And what I love the most is the level of competition. You get to play against the best to prove that you're the best. And I think that's what's so special about playoff football. You're playing against the guys that are going to make you better. It's iron sharpens iron. You're going to be going up against games. You're going to be up against the wall. We almost lost to Ray. We hit a, like, 80-yard touchdown pass, or else we were losing that game. We It's big moments. Like, big moments make the playoffs, man. And like, that's what's so special about them. Like I said, that winner go home. I'll never forget the Ray game. They brought the house, man. Like, they brought their entire community out there. The entire fence line was just half purple and half red and black. We absolutely packed out the entire place. And I just knew that, like, we cannot leave, like, this community with an L. Like, we cannot end our season with, and end our careers with a loss at home in front of all of our people. And, like, it's just an atmosphere. Like, it was absolutely packed. Just so much support from the community. And that's just what's so special about it. Just, there's nothing like it.
Yeah, that community support is so freaking important. And I mean, in the playoffs, you're definitely not guaranteed. Like if you're traveling to Gunnison, the amounts of people that's making that trip isn't too high, right?
No, no, and honestly, so much love to the guy, like the fans and like our little bit of like the community who made it out there. And for the most part, it was our family. You know, like our family was the only people who made that journey because that was a haul, man. Like that's like 6 hours or something. Like it was
Yeah.
a ways, and we caught a hotel. Like we just had to be ready, and we were. And damn, like that game was electric because we ran it up on them. And that bus ride home, as long and as stressful as that experience was, it was so much fun because all we could imagine was like, dude, imagine how much this bus ride would suck if we just lost.
Yeah, that would not have been. Uh, I've I've been in not that exact situation, but in a similar situation where, like for basketball, we had to go to Lamar, and
That's ways.
that's a 3.5 hour drive on a good day, and we only won by 2,
Oh,
and I was just like, good God, if it like. And the worst thing about it is that the C team game had gone into triple overtime.
oh God.
So by the time the JV game started, that was the time the varsity game was supposed to start.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Man,
And
because like probably the worst bus rides I've had were after we lost to Holyoke, because that was like almost a 3 hour drive. Like it's not like the longest drive, but it's still enough to where first game of the season you lose, you're pissed, and then like hopefully you could get to terms with it by the next week so you could go out and have that off your mind and get to work because nobody likes a long bus ride home after losing. But then we've lost at CSU Pueblo 3 times in the state championship my freshman and senior year. Then we played in a neutral location there when we played Centauri my sophomore year, and they ran it up on us. So
oh,
those bus ride homes always suck. Except this year after we lost state, we were just kind of appreciating being together. You know, it's the last time we're going to be making that trip as that team. So we just wanted to kind of take it all in, reflect on the season. We were all just talking about like our favorite moments and stuff. So honestly, wasn't as bad as say like the Holyoke one or just
yeah.
one where you just get absolutely smacked. I think honestly, probably one of the funniest memories I have is after we lost my freshman year, we had these like little snack bags of like food that we were eating, and one of the juniors that year, he chucked his snack bag out of the window when he was done with it, and the bus lady pulled over, and like our coach was like, own up to who did it, and it was like this, like he was like 5'8", 270, like he was a big body, and seeing him just like slowly stand up and raise his hand was so funny, and considering the fact that we just lost state, none of us could laugh, but we all knew that was hilarious.
I, I know it sounds like I have had that exact same experience. Because okay, so also my junior year, it's baseball season, and I was on JV, and we go to Buena Vista. We go to Buena Vista. It's supposed to be a double header or like a 9 inning game. We lose in the third inning, 21-0,
Oh damn!
and I'm not in a good mood. My dad drove from Florence to Buena Vista to watch. I got half an inning of playtime that game. The umps had to teach our pitcher how to pitch. Not fun. And on the bus ride back, this one kid decided it would be funny to take his water, pour it all over the back seat, and then throw the bottle out the window.
Oh my god!
I I threw up at practice the next day. Like that was not.
Yeah, man, we all joked about it at the banquet and stuff because they brought it up, like the coaches were joking around bringing it up at the banquet. We were like, shit, it's kind of a good thing that we lost state there because if we like had anything else going on, we would have been like, if that was like the semifinals and we won, we would have been running like a ton for him doing that.
Yeah, that was not. Oh yeah, I'm glad that you guys were able to avoid that.
Every team has a few of those guys though that you're just like, dude, what do you think? And sometimes like not even in a bad way, but you're just like, dude, he's a little bit not all there.
Yeah, I understand that, and
That's funny.
yeah, it. Sorry, that just keeps bringing me back to that.
No, that's funny, man.
Oh my! But when we're looking at bringing it back to you, if you had, well, let's say that you went to go to school and all of a sudden you find a lamp and you rub it and a genie comes out and says, "Okay, I am the NIL deal genie. Any NIL deal or brand deal that you want, I can get it for you. What would you ask for?"
Oh man, that's kind of tough. I'd go for, man, it probably wouldn't be in like an athletic wear brand or something. It would probably just be like something goofy. Like I'd want to be sponsored by something funny and be in a bunch of commercials. Like being in a Raising Cane's commercial, that'd be hilarious, man.
That would be funny.
But
Or like
dude, no, it
Bucky's.
would probably be something like that. Just like, oh, it probably would be like Raising Cane's, man. Because like I don't like eat fast food a lot, but like I don't count Cane's as fast food because it's damn like pretty damn healthy for like what you could get at like a stop and go place kind of. And I don't know, man. That'd probably be pretty ideal. If not them, then probably getting a deal with like Madden or something like that. I don't know if they make like, I doubt Madden makes NIL deals, but I've been playing Madden since it was on the Wii, so that's
Woo.
been a lifestyle for me, man.
Yeah, that's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that brings me back to the Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga days.
Oh hell yeah! Me and my little brother used to play the hell out of that because once you unlock everybody, then you get to play through with anybody that you want. Oh, that's so much fun. Except like pretty much all the fun ones you can't do anything with. Like if you're like, I remember if you were like R2D2, all you could really do is roll around because that dude couldn't like do anything.
Yeah, he is used to get to platforms.
Yeah, but like, hey, he could fly a little bit, so you'd use him. You'd use him.
Yeah, every once in a while. But okay, looking back, one last bit about your season this past year. So we talked a lot about those first three games of Lyman, Wiggins, and Holyoke, and we talked a lot about playoffs. Well, first, if Ray had lost and it had been Holyoke in that Final Four matchup, do you think that you would have won?
Yeah, I think you got to walk into it with as much confidence as possible. And I think that we're a different team than when we played them the first week. I think we were dealing with a couple injuries that first week. We had a couple dudes starting that like later quit the team. We were just missing some guys. We were out of shape. We started running a new offense around week 5, week 6. So I think with how we revamped, I think we absolutely could have done it because like if in my mind, I guess Ray could do it, so can we, kind of.
Hey, very good. Yeah, that's a good mindset to have. And I mean, looking at the
And
stretch of
honestly,
games.
Holyoke, like at first, when I thought they were going to go all the way. I thought this was their year for the state championship after they beat us. That doesn't mean
Oh
that I
yeah,
don't think we could have beat them, but like when I saw that they were a second round exit, I was shocked because with like Sprague and Cash Weber and like all the guys that they had, I thought that they were about to go and have a year. Like I thought
yeah.
it like how last year I really felt like the stars like aligned for Ray to win it all, and then they choked. They choked bad.
Oh
But
yeah, they choked.
yeah, but like I truly believe yes we would have beat Holyoke just because once we got to that point we were rolling so much that I don't think anybody but Lyman could have beat us, because a lot of it was just going out and letting it all hang, just playing with absolute so much swagger. Like I said, Landon dialed it up one week. One week we were just going stupid on defense. We had like 2 forced fumbles and like 6 sacks. Like we were just on one on, like, just as a whole team, we were just playing so well collectively. We were having Austin go into the backfield a little bit, and he was rushing the ball all over teams and stuff. Like it was just aligned for us to where we would have been good no matter who we played up until we got to that Lyman game. I felt like, I wouldn't say our luck ran out, but Lyman's one of those teams that you have to be like perfect to beat them, because they don't do stuff wrong. Lyman doesn't make mistakes, and they pride themselves on that. So do I think that if we play them 100 times that we're going to lose 100 times? Absolutely not. If anything, I think we beat them 50% of the time. But at the same time, they have, like, we have it. Like, we're 0, it's either 0-4 or 0-5 against them in high school, and that's not a good feeling, man. So if I ever get the chance to ever get it back at any one of those guys, I would love to, because going out on bottom kind of sucks.
I mean, that's perfectly fair. And I mean, if there's any team to lose to, Lyman, I just went back and checked. They're I think 38-1 over the past 3 years.
Yeah, their one loss was state championship game versus Centauri.
Yeah, but
yep, they're a great team, man. And like, no disrespect to any of them, because like I said, the only reason I think that we could beat them 50% of the time is just because we're a special team too. But I definitely think that they've proved that they've been a little bit more special, because of the fact that they've gone. I wouldn't say they're more special, but they've just executed better. You know.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But I mean, you guys had a pretty solid. I mean, at one point, you guys had a 9-game win streak going.
Yeah.
And I was kind of wondering, like, if you could give me like a week by week, because we talked a lot about Holyoke through Lyman in week 3, but yeah, if you could give me like a week by week from Bennett down to Ray.
Bennett, we walked into it pretty much. Well, so actually, it'd be kind of important to start it right after Lyman. We went into our bye week saying we're 1-2. If we lose another one, especially since we're starting conference play so soon, like it's over pretty much. Like we don't do too much if we lose to even one more team. So we pretty much walked into it with the thing of like, we don't fail. Like we have no room for failure. So we implemented kind of a new offense in the bye week during week 3. That's when we started doing platoons on offensive and defensive line. So whereas I'd rotate in and play some guard, play some tackle, like whenever we're doing a big play where you need a kick out block, Al's going to go in at guard. Or if we're doing a 2-minute drill, maybe we'll put Al in at tackle just for like a little bit more like veteran stuff. But for the most part, we had those 2 platoons of guys, me, Tristan, and Ian on the D line, and then Chuck, Danny, Christian, Juan, and Preston on offensive line. And that was big for us because it kept our trenches fresh. So we went into that Bennett game. We had a little bit of new stuff on offense. We implemented Damien, who was our deep ball guy, and he was like our kind of like a crack guy. We stopped playing with 2 receivers. We played with pretty much just 3 running backs and like whatever we could call what his position was. He was like a crack back, which is pretty much just he's gonna like align every time in motion and he's just gonna go smack somebody. And the amount of times that he would just be able to start in motion and then just bolt downfield and no one was quicker than him, that was a big game changer for us. But we went into Bennett like, one, not only are we 1-2 and our backs are against the wall, one, we know Bennett's not that good. We know that because we've played him so many times. But this is our rival. Like, there's no way. There's 0 chance that we lose this game. Everybody has to just go out and pretty much just like, for lack of a better term, just kind of let your nuts hang and leave it all on the field, you know?
Yeah.
So we went out, we smacked them. So we actually pitched a shutout on them. I want this to be known, and I'll put this out there now. Until we put our JV in, and they ran a touchdown in on our JV with the clock expiring, like they pretty much baited our JV into thinking they were going to kneel it out, like, good sportsmanship. And then they took away our 0 on the literal last play of the game. Like on film, I remember you could see like, I wouldn't say I had like, I was just very frustrated. You could see me like drop to my knees and be like, damn, dude. Cause like we had pitched that shutout 100%. And then they kind of just pulled some BS. But yeah, I want that to be known. That was a shutout as far as I'm concerned. And then the next game, remind me who that next game was. Was that Clear Creek?
Next game, yeah, it was Clear Creek next.
Well, that was the homecoming game. They started out with this great kick return touchdown. I guess we just had a freshman make a mistake in a position that he's never been in, so like no issues there. We go out, we take care of business. Everybody, is pretty bored at the end of the thing, except Austin Velasco. He had 4 touchdowns that game, and he almost had a 5th, which would have tied the school record. And I'll apologize to him again right here. I had a holding call on his punt return.
Oh
and,
no!
And an unnecessary roughness on my block because I pretty much just laid the kid out, and then you know how like linemen finish their block kind of like they just jump on the dude after they throw him down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got flagged for an unnecessary there, and then it got his touchdown called back. I felt real bad, but so that game was pretty much horrible for everybody but Moose because we were just all bored pretty much. Like we were just like running it up on a team who's not just bad, but they're also soft. Kind of sucks because at least like bad teams who are gritty, it makes you want to keep coming. But when they're just like soft, it sucks. Like I had 1 tackle the whole game because they ran to my side one time the entire game, and then other than that they passed like 35 times. So I was like, oh, time to get sacks, right? No, because everything's either a slant route that they don't complete or a screen, which they are going to get blown up by our DBs. And we had like 4 picks that game. So I was like, not one guy got a sack that game. They ran the ball 3 times, only 1 time to my side, and I had a tackle for loss. Like it was so boring. Like I've never not enjoyed a game of football that I played until that moment because I was like, dude, I swear to God, we need to get a better league because this is boring, dude. Like this is not fun football. But then the next week I think was Denver Christian, right?
Yep.
So that game was a ton of fun for me. It was like a kind of cold game, and me and a lot of the linemen, we wanted to like feel real tough, and we read that the 86 Bears, their D line used to put Tiger Balm on instead of sleeves, so we did that. And oh my God, that game was so much fun. I went out there and I had like 3 tackle for losses on punts alone. They had their lineman back there as their punter, and
which
so their long
can
snapper
work.
suck. Yeah, it can because sometimes they'll have a boot. Like our punter last year was a lineman, but like 1, the kid didn't have good hands, and 2, their long snapper was really bad. So the first one, the dude like put really low, and the lineman like tried to pick it up, but he was kind of fumbling around. By the time he got it, I got all the way into the backfield and just smoked him. Probably the fastest I've ever ran. Probably one of the funnest plays I've ever made because I powed that kid. Like I hit him hard, and then same thing happens this time. It hits him square in the hands, and he just drops it. He tries to is like that lineman actually was able to juke out one of our guys who made it through until he ran right into me, and I like his head hit the ground before his legs did. Like I smacked that kid.
Oh.
And that game was just so much fun because we were playing on like a turf field. I felt super fast that game for some reason. I don't know why, but I was flying around. I was making a few tackles. Like I play on the left end, and I was making a few tackles on the defensive right side. So like I was running down some stuff. I was having myself a game, and everybody was like telling me, they were like, "Dude, you're going off." And that was probably my second favorite game that we had in the regular season. And one thing I remember for that game is Thomas Devlin laid probably the best block I've ever seen in my entire life. Paul Smith, he ran in like a 45-yarder, and it was just the corner to beat, and Tom was lead blocking, and that kid got thrown like from like the numbers to his own sideline is probably where he landed. And
oh my God.
Yeah, like it was the best block I've ever seen in my life. If you ever go look at Paul's highlight film, it's on there because Tom's going to the military, so he doesn't put out his highlights. But oh man, if that guy put out his highlights, they'd be some pretty fun stuff to watch. Because in my opinion, he's the best blocking seal position like I've ever played with or against. Like he's a great blocker, dude, and he just
Man.
lays people out like crazy. We call them pows. It's when you hit a player so hard that they like turn like 180 degrees. And
Yeah.
I was like second or third on the team. No, I was third because of DJ. DJ had like a couple at middle backer. I had like four, which is like I was pretty happy with. And then DJ had like six, but Tom had like 20 on the season. Like he does
Holy
some
crap.
crazy stuff. Like that kid like he's a football player. I've like if he was not going to go to the military, that is a D1 fullback, and that is a guarantee. He's like 5'11", 200 pounds during football season. He's going to be like
Oof.
a state qualifier for wrestling this year. That's a gritty player, and if he wasn't going to go serve our country, then he'd be an absolute stud. Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Oh, but then the next week after that was after Denver Christian Middle Park.
Yeah. Yeah.
I missed that game. I was injured, but unfortunate. I missed it. My little brother got to play a little bit in my absence, so it was pretty fun to watch him. I guess got to watch Big Juan Fernandez. Like he got a foul on that game because they tried to pull at him, and that kid just leveled their puller into their running back. It was so cool, dude. Like he launched that kid straight back. It was so cool. But that game was pretty boring for me if I'm not playing. Like no disrespect to my teammates because they all took care of business. And it was actually funny. Thomas Devlin, our middle linebacker, it was him and DJ, but he played D line that game because me and then our other defensive end Ian Ross, he had stitches in his lip, so he wasn't able to play either.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty cool watching Tom get his hand in the dirt and just kind of dominate. He had a hell of a game, but that game was kind of interesting. And then so after Middle Park, who do we play?
Then it was Cody cut this part out. No, I'm just kidding. It was Jefferson after that.
Oh yeah, Jefferson was our senior night. It was pretty cool because it was also we have two guys, Chuck and Tom, who are gonna go be in the military. So aside from our senior night, they also got like I don't know what it's in, but I think it's like they're swearing in to the military.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool just seeing those two dudes that I've played with since second grade go out and just like I may be going and playing college football. Me, Austin, Landon, Paul, some of us may be going to do that, but they're doing something that's like way cooler or braver than that. They're fighting for like our freedom, man. So that's big respect to those two guys, and that was really cool. Me and Chuck were in on a sack together that game, and it was really cool because it was just like we sandwiched their quarterback and stuff, and like their quarterback was like pretty elusive, so it was kind of hard to get him down. But I think I had like 1.5 sacks that game, and Chuck was in there on one of them, and it was pretty cool just because it was a big night for him more than even so the rest of us being our senior night. It was like a double whammy for them, dude. So that was pretty awesome. After that was that Platte Canyon.
Yep.
My best game all year, maybe in my entire career. It's funny. So since my freshman year, a lot of like the other like 2024 dudes, like our seniors, like they've been calling me like the polar bear because I'm just like big and white is pretty much the joke. Like that, and like so like that's just pretty much the joke. But my buddy Paul, he was telling me that like I lived up to that nickname in that game because they started off the game running the ball, and after the first play, like I had slipped on the first play, and like the dude like just kind of jumped on top of me after I slipped because like I said that game was all snow. After
Yeah.
that, I felt like unblockable. Like I had like I don't know. I'll send you the film or something, but like I had a game, man. I was in on probably like 20 tackles. I don't remember what the exact stats I was given for that game were, but in my heart, I truly believe I had at least 8 tackles for loss that game. Like I was absolutely on one. They started passing, and then I like batted a ball up and it got picked, and then I think my favorite play of my entire career. It was the last play of the half. We go up. Paul forces a fumble, and I scoop it up, and I returned that thing for like 20 yards, and I
Ooh.
stiff armed their running back,
Oh.
and like I felt so awesome. I was so mad though. Our film guy, he didn't get it on film. I literally, as soon as we got the film back, I texted, his name's Andrew. I texted him just berating him because I was like, dude, that's the best play I've ever made, and you couldn't get it on film, like you couldn't. He was like, dude, it was really snowy. I thought the play was whistled. I was like, no, it wasn't. I was so
Yeah.
mad, dude.
And
But
it's like, come on, that could go on my highlight tape.
yeah, but it was also funny because according to Austin, he was telling me that like he was apparently like right behind me with like a nobody in front of him. So like pretty much right as I got tackled after running it back like 20 yards, if I lateraled it to Moosey, would have had a touchdown. But I was like, nah,
Oh.
bro, I was not pitching that rock. Like he was telling me at halftime because we were sitting together. He was like, dude, I was wide. I was like, so was I, man.
Yeah, you're wide until you're not there. So
Yeah, no, I wasn't thinking twice. I was like, oh, this is my moment. But
yeah.
unfortunately, after I stiff armed their running back, I wasn't exactly super agile. So after I stiff armed their running back, I went like another 7 yards, and then one of their skill players like ankle bit me because unfortunately, no, I'm stronger than them. They're way faster. So
Hey, fair enough. That you have some gifts, and in other ways, other guys are more blessed with that.
yeah, and I'll take what I get because that stiff arm felt pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like that Patterson guy is a small dude.
Oh no, dude, it was actually kind of wicked because he was wearing because I went out with Tiger Balm for the first half, and like because I didn't want to wear anything. But the issue with so cold, it's whatever to wear Tiger Balm, but snow, it's different because it'll like wash it off, and then you'll start just getting cold.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just went and put on a hoodie at halftime. But Patterson, like that kid wasn't even wearing anything. Like he just had turf tape on a grass field with his full arms exposed. And like he was getting clobbered the whole game, but I was like, dude, you're kind of tough for not wearing anything in this weather, dude.
Crazy, tough, or forgot his stuff at home.
Hey man, any of the above. But
Ah, goodness.
but then after that we had North Fork, like I already told you, guys sick, guys who just felt like, playing some Fortnite. So wasn't our best game because like I said, we just we got the seed that we wanted. We wanted the 6th seed because we felt like that gave us our highest possible seed. With 2 losses that we had, and we were all at Landon's house. We had like a bracket announcement party. It was really cool to see us get announced with like the 6th. So that was really awesome. We knew who we'd be playing. We were super stoked. We went out to Gunnison. Super fun game. Like I said, Landon dialed it up. Had like 5 touchdowns. Big plays. Julian with the toe tap.
Yeah.
Austin ran in a couple touchdowns when he's been a receiver for the whole year. Paul had a big pick. Aiden Anderson. It was like a big moment. He had like a really, really nice couple of sacks. And then Thomas Devlin had a sack and a forced fumble that I recovered. Like everybody was making plays, and it was so much fun because everybody was on one. Like they scored on that opening. They scored on that opening trick play that they had. I don't even know what it was. I don't particularly remember. I'm pretty sure it was like a flea flicker or something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they scored on that, and then they scored on one other like in garbage time pretty much when we were up like 42-7. They got it to like 42-14. So that game was pretty obvious. Like it was pretty washed. It was pretty cool because a former player from Strasburg who was like kind of like a legend over here coaches up at Gunnison.
Oh.
So yeah, so that was a pretty cool thing because Coach Winter, who coached him, was kind of like giving him crap after the game, like about how bad we beat him and stuff. And then Ray, nothing felt better than that game, just getting our lick back on them because, they were the team who took it all from us last year. So it was good to get it back. And then honestly, the state championship goes like it speaks for itself. Like, uh, we just ran out of juice, man. Unfortunately, it just we made too many mistakes versus a team that you got to play. your best ball against, and just really unfortunate how it ended up going. But for the season that we had, I'm proud to say that we made it that far.
Heck yeah. I mean, it's always good to be proud of what you've been able to do and what you've been able to do with the guys around you, and everything that you can say about all of them. And I mean, we've talked a lot about the past. What are your goals moving forward, looking forward to college ball? And I mean, you're going to be playing with and against some guys you've gone against for years. You're going to be facing a lot of entirely new competition. So what are your goals looking forward?
Man, I can't wait because I'm gonna be joining some dudes who like I said, are some of the best players I've personally played against. I'm gonna go play with like Pepper and White Sprague and Bryson and a lot of those dudes. I think Logan Botcher has an offer from up there. I don't know where he's gonna end up going, but like I have an opportunity to play with a lot of great players, and I hopefully will get to play against them too. I know Aaron Schumarth has an offer from up in Western, and a couple other dudes that I've met in my high school process have an offer from up there. So I'll be playing against some familiar faces and stuff, playing with some dudes that I know. My goals, I'm gonna try to work not get redshirted my freshman year. There's no issue with getting redshirted in my mind, but it would just be cool to put in enough work to not be redshirted, just because like I think the traveling and stuff with the team is so cool. But if I do, then that's no worries to me because it's just going to be another year to work on my game and get better. In the longer run, I want to be an all-conference player in college. I want to eventually become a starter, and I want to make big plays, contribute a ton. And the goal, if I could be blessed to stay healthy and be put in the right position to succeed and work to be in that position, is I would love to graduate college and be an All-American. That would be the goal. But obviously, very few percent of people who get to go to college get that honor. So it'd be amazing to be one of those guys. But at least an all-conference player, because being all-conference in the RMAC is something absolutely like special, just so different.
I mean, that puts you in the Austin Eckler territory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean,
And Danny Woodhead, the Shattered State Heisman winner.
yes, yeah, like Danny Woodhead, Austin Eckler. I mean, there are quite a few linemen from CSU Pueblo that were all conference that have made it to the league.
Yep. Ryan Jensen is one. Ryan Jensen's one. Um, I actually probably can't think of a few more off the top of my head, weirdly enough, but I know Ryan Jensen made it from CSU Pueblo.
Yeah, and even that conference has some insane clout. And I mean, you talked there about not getting redshirted your freshman year. What are you going to do this offseason to work on that and do your best to make sure that doesn't happen?
Pretty much everything I've already been doing. I already cut. So I had cut after the season. I went on a little cut down to 225 from 260 because I didn't like as much how I was moving. And now I'm bulking back up. I would like to be 255, 260 by the time I report. I'm going to report early. That's going to be something that's going to be big for me. I'm going to go get in with the guys and start working ahead of time. I'm going to report as soon as possible. I'm going to be like I said, I'm gonna be bulking some more. I've been doing 2-a-day lifts, trying to keep myself not just in shape and getting stronger, but I'll also go and do some footwork stuff, D-line drills, speed, conditioning, all kinds of stuff. I'm super locked into this. I'm gonna be playing track, just throwing and stuff. But aside from that, I won't have anything else going on to stop me from just like putting all my work in to that. And like I said, there's no issue with getting redshirted. It's just an honor to not be, because
Yeah,
it shows that they think that you can make an impact in your first year. Like,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure last year out of their 22 players, only 6 didn't get redshirted as freshmen. So it's, like I said, not a bad thing to be redshirted, but it's something that I'm a hopefully work and be able to like get the honor of not, because of the fact that it would be, kind of a one of the like a like a rare opportunity.
Hell yeah. Yeah, just being among the best of the best.
Yeah.
And oh my. Yeah, that's something I've
And
thought
hey,
about.
if I get redshirted and I have a year to develop under a bunch of very talented guys and learn from the coaches and learn the system and get even bigger and stronger, then that'll only give me better chances of being an All-American and All-Conference player because I'll be able to have more time in the program, you know. So I'm a you can only do you can only do with the cards that you're given, really. Like whatever you're dealt with is pretty much what you're gonna have to deal with, and that's something that I am gonna kind of play it by ear. If I think that I could go out and just do it my freshman year, and if the coaches give me that ability, then I'd love to be a travel player in my first year. But if not, then I'll trust the process because that's a special place, and they're gonna be doing big things, and I can't wait to be a part of it.
Hell yeah. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff, Al. That's a good mindset that not a lot of guys have. I'm gonna
Yes,
be
sir.
straight up with you. All right, so I'm gonna close it out here with so let's say after you come across the NIL genie, you find a time machine and you're able to go back to little freshman you, the first day that you step on campus at Strasburg High School. What advice would you give to that freshman version of yourself? It could be recruiting, on the field, academics, relationships, any of that.
Man, I would just tell them don't take it for granted. Like, there's nothing that I'm more grateful than to get the experience that I did with the people that I got it with. Maybe I'd tell him to work a little bit harder in his freshman year and not get as like, just so I could probably be a more of an impact player sooner. But with the chances that I was given and the chances that I earned, then I don't think that there's anything that I'd really change. Maybe I'd tell him not to tear his labrum because that kind of sucked. But uh, other than that, like I said, just cherish every moment of it and just like don't trade it for anything because you don't get an experience to play with the players that you've got to play with that like you like just teammates that like it's special, man. You don't get an opportunity like to play with the same guys for that long, you know?
Hell yeah. There's only so many. I mean, the song 5 More Minutes kind of captures it perfectly. Like, there's only so many chances you get with the people you have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Actually, funny enough, the new Zach Bryan album had dropped on our way back from Gunnison, so that made that 7 hour ride a lot more bearable.
Yeah. Yeah. Made I-70 so much more bearable. Good Lord. I
Yeah.
hate I-70 so much.
Man, I wish it was I-70.
Oh, no.
No, we were going up through the mountains. We were having to drive all around and down the mountains. I-70 is light work because that's like where, like, that's what leads to Strasburg. Like, well, this is the I-70 corridor, so I'm very used to I-70. But that was like 225 to I-25 to I-70, and then
Oh,
all the way
no.
up from the mountains. So like we were having to just like loop down the mountains and stuff. That was less than enjoyable.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, we've got one last segment here on the show, and this is an opportunity for you to give thanks to everyone that you want to give thanks to, anyone who you'd like to mention who's been important along the way, academically, athletically, friends, family, significant others, coaches, players, just anybody along those lines. So
Yeah,
if you
no, for
want to,
sure. Yes, sir. First off would definitely be my like I thank God for all the opportunities that I've gotten. He put me in a position to where maybe I wouldn't be in the position that I am if he didn't give me a better like set of like fit parents or anything like that. If he didn't keep me healthy, if he didn't keep me alive, like I couldn't do anything without the Lord. So everything to him first, and then under that definitely my family. I know they'd do anything for me and stuff. So like having those people in my corner, everybody from my parents to my little brother to my grandma and just all the people in my life, super special. every teammate and every coach that I've had, specifically Coach Winter, who's put so much work in with me and helped me become the player that I am. Coach Ross for being a great strength and conditioning coach, helping me get stronger and stuff. My dad, who's coached me since I was very, very, very little, and he's a great coach. Coach Brown for giving me all the opportunities to be a playmaker on a state championship qualifying team. Every teammate that I've had, specifically ones that like I've been with for forever, and like Landon, Thomas, Chuck, Paul, Austin, Tristan, just the dudes that I've been DJ, the dudes I've been playing with since I was really little. So that's special to keep getting to play with them. My man Caden, best workout partner that I could even ask for. He's gonna do big things. Thank my girlfriend. She's me and her have been together for like 2.5 years. So thanks to her, because she always, helps me out with all the other stuff that maybe you don't talk about with your teammates and stuff. A little bit of a different outlook from her. And other than that, I don't have exactly any teachers to thank or anything like that. So probably, like I said, just teammates, family, my friend group outside of the football team. Like I said, my man Mikey, unfortunately, didn't play football this year. He would have been a beast if he did, but he's going to do big things in life. My man Hudson, he's my buddy from up in Cherry Creek. And then a couple other dudes, just like Brody and Jared. They're part of my other friend group. So a lot of those dudes, they're dudes I go to the gym with all the time. People who, like I said, I want to surround myself with people who have like-minded goals, people who want to get bigger and stronger and make money in life and do like all kinds of big things. So just surrounding yourself with a good circle, I definitely have, as far as my friends, family, teammates, all that kind of stuff. I have a great circle. Thank you to all them, and thank you to yeah, definitely everybody who's had an impact in my journey. I was able to have a lot of dudes just off the top of my head, but definitely anybody who's helped me, any coach I've had, any teammate I've had, teachers who've worked their ass off to get me eligible sometimes when I miss a couple big assignments or something. Just anybody who's really had an impact in my life, my athletic career, teachers, pastors, just anybody who's really been a big influence in my life. But I do think I touched base on most of the people in my life, I'd say. But yeah, no, aside from all those people, that's just probably about it. Just thanks to everybody who's given me put me in position to succeed and help me become a better person and a better football player, anything along those lines. Thank you for the opportunity, you guys, for having me come on here.
Thank you very much, Al. It's always a pleasure to have guys like you on, but seriously, like, granted, I only was able to see you for that one game, and I mean, but it was a really special experience, and I'm glad that I've been able to sit here and get to know you and your outlook on life and all the different things that have played into your experiences and your advice for the people who are listening. So very good. Very, very good. It has truly been a pleasure to have you on today, Al.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you again so very much, Al. And thank you to everyone who's listening to this. I know that it takes some time out of the day to make your way over to Spotify, Google, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and give us a listen. But we truly do appreciate you and your support. It means a lot to us to be able to provide more exposure for these athletes and these kids who are working really, really hard and might not get the recognition that they deserve. If you want to see more of the stuff that we're doing to help spotlight athletes, both on the Colorado high school football level and on the NAIA women's flag football level, you can find us on Twitter at Playmaker Corner, or you can find us on TikTok and Instagram at Playmakers Corner. As you may imagine, Playmakers Corner was taken on Twitter already. But Everyone remember to please stay hydrated, stay safe, try your best to not get sick, and if you do, take care of yourself. And hopefully we'll see you around supporting Colorado high school football and just athletes in general. Peace.